Smithfield Town Council meeting, July 15, 2024. Madam Clerk, can you start us with a prayer and the pledge, please?
Thank you for bringing us together today in the spirit of generosity. May we honor one another by keeping an open mind. May we voice our truth and listen with an open heart. May we discern your will to unite in a fruitful outcome. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Biergod?
Here.
Ms. Hamilton?
Here.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Here.
Mr. Ogier?
Here.
Ms. Alves?
Here. Open forum, non-agenda items only pursuant to 42-46-6D, maximum 3 minutes per person. Does anyone want to sign up before we start? Anyone? Do you want to sign up?
Well, I'm wondering if she runs low on time and I sign up, can I forfeit my time so that she can get from me?
Well, it's 3 minutes. If you want to just sign up and then you have 3 minutes.
I'm saying if I do sign up and I have 3 minutes, can I forfeit my time to her so that she can finish it?
Oh, so she can do 6 now.
We did away with that.
We didn't do away with anything. We did away with, it's 3 minutes per person. So if you'd like to sign, excuse me. We said we do 3 minutes per person. If you'd like to sign up for 3 minutes, you're more than welcome to sign up. They're all set? Okay. Anyone want to sign up? You do? All right, I'll add your name, Mike. Is there a problem?
Yes.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk
When
about
you
it.
were not on this council, it was determined that you could not pass on any minutes.
Well, now we had to do 3 minutes per person, regardless what they want to speak to,
Yeah, we
as
have
long
to
as
pass
it's,
it.
excuse me, as long as it's non-agenda items only. Would anyone like to sign up? All right, third time. Rebecca? So Rebecca, if you could please keep it to 3 minutes, thank you.
Thank you so much, Rebecca DeCristofaro, 1931 Pound Hill Road. I was hoping tonight for some insight regarding our hired counsel in the Pound Hill Realty LLC Material Sand and Stone versus North Smithfield suit as I digest the June 27th denied motion for entry of final dismissal. So my first question here is, who recommended Timothy Robenheimer as representation for this suit?
Mr. Solicitor, would you like to answer that?
Might have been our office or through the trust.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. So more importantly, was the town council made aware of a conflict of interest in Mr. Robenheimer representing this case?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay, thank you. So Timothy Robenheimer, our hired counsel in this suit, as well as other North Smithfield suits, formerly represented Leonard and Constance Pezza, the former owners of the Pound Hill Road Quarry, in 1992. Mr. Robenheimer was employed by Plunkett, which is currently Material Sand and Stone's lawyer, between 1991 and 1992, and facilitated permit applications, which were denied, and correspondence on behalf of Leonard and Constance Pezza with the town of North Smithfield when he was employed with Material Sand and Stone's current lawyer, being Plunkett. With that awareness, can we say with confidence that the town's hired lawyer was the most appropriate lawyer to represent us in this case when he formally represented Material Sand and Stone's interests at the time this lawsuit was initially filed in 1991? I would argue that he cannot and he is not. In July of 2023, we pointed out inaccuracies in Robert Pez's May 2023 affidavit that misrepresented the 2012 quitclaim deed as a transfer of land, when in fact this quitclaim deed was a sale for roughly $1.3 million. Why is this distinction important? As a transfer, Material Sand and Stone Pound Hill Realty LLC would not be subject to the Nonconformity Ordinance of 1979, and their quarrying operation would be grandfathered into nonconformity privileges. Mr. Robenheimer responded to my email when I brought that inaccuracy to his attention and stated that he would point this out to Judge Procaccini. As of the December 2023 summary judgment, Judge Procaccini was still under the impression that the quitclaim deed in 2012 was a transfer of land for family planning purposes and not a sale. This is just one of the many inaccuracies that are reflected in the May 2023 affidavit as well as the December 2023 summary judgment. Given the judge's most recent denial of the town's motion, which was essentially to close the case in court and allow our town to exercise enforcement of our town ordinances, I do not feel confident that those inaccuracies were addressed and rectified, nor that a comprehensive argument was made on behalf of the town.
I'm sorry. We're at the, how much do you have left?
Like 2 paragraphs.
Can you finish it up very quickly?
Yes. Had the loss of nonconformity due to the 2012 sale and the many other infractions committed by this business been presented to the judge, although not a lawyer, I really do feel confident that the status of this case would be different. One of 2 things should have happened when Mr. Robenheimer was approached about this case. He could have recused himself based on his previous relationship with the plaintiff, or disclose the conflict of interest to the appropriate town officials, who would have had to have waived the conflict of interest and obviously approved him representing, which I realize that you did approve him representing the case. But it sounds as though you were not aware of the conflict of interest, and had you been made aware of the conflict of interest, you may have voted very differently. So given everything I've mentioned here tonight, I believe we need a review of what's been presented and argued on the town's behalf in this case. We need to reevaluate pursuing this case with Mr. Robenheimer as our legal representation given this conflict of interest. Continuing this case with Mr. Robenheimer as our legal representation given the conflict of interest and potential omission of inculpatory evidence puts this town at risk, not just in losing the case, but in future appeal or lawsuit. We need legal representation that wants to see us win these lawsuits, that cares about the outcomes for the town and its constituents. Mr. Robenheimer is failing at representing us in this lawsuit against Material Sand and Stone, and might I add, he most recently represented us in this case against MST. So do we also have to question that the effectiveness of legal representation in that case as well? Because from what I'm hearing from town constituents, he was equally as ineffective in representing us in that case as he is in this one. So thank you for allowing me to go over time.
Thank you. Mike, 3 minutes, please.
Mike Clifford, 489 Black Plain Road. I just want to take a minute to thank Mrs. Alves and Mrs. Hamilton for standing their ground last fall with the insistence that the question should not be going to the voters with the, without a forecast, a financial forecast for at least 5 years. And I think your efforts paid off, because I think you'd have a lot of irritated people today because you couldn't forecast that budget, the cost of things, and you wouldn't be able to accurately forecast what it was going to cost the taxpayers. It's costing the taxpayers at the 53-cent increase $220 just for the regular increase, $228. And it's also costing them, if you use the straight line interest cost of 68 cents per thousand for the bond payment, it would have added another $292 to everybody's bill. So instead of whatever bill you got this year, whatever bill you're going to get in another month or so, double it is what we would have been paying now if that bond had gone on the books and we had taken that, you borrowed that money. And the myth of the strategic little gimmicky financing trick, I wouldn't even get into all the details except to say that, if you have to resort to gimmicks to make something affordable, it's not affordable. Secondly, what I was asking you to forecast and look at did come to fruition, and that was the tangibles did depreciate. And you lost $840-some-thousand this year in tangible taxes, which transferred onto our backs. Yeah, $440 was covered by the state for that other division, but the rest of it was a regular forecasted depreciation of those assets. So, it's going to get worse before it gets better, folks. This is not just a one-year deal. It's going to continue. But thank you. As a taxpayer, I want to thank you for not having doubled my taxes with your perseverance and standing your ground. Everybody should have.
Anyone else want to speak before we move on? All right, next one is discussion by council vote or other action on payment of bills. Everyone has a packet in their, anyone have any questions? Go ahead.
So the first 3 are McGovern Commercial Headquarters, are those for the police vehicles? So this is a cost that's going to be reimbursed by the grant?
We already have the money for the grant. We already got the money a while back.
So are
This is a
the,
grant from like a while ago. We just finally got the vehicles. We ordered them. I don't remember when we ordered them, but we ordered them a while back. We
Right.
just finally got them.
so this amount is what we've already paid out? Is that, I'm not sure I
Yeah.
understand.
So I think it was 150 or 1,000 or so in grants for this. We just use that money towards the vehicles themselves. Now we have to fit them out, kit them, and then, request for more vehicles from here on out. So it's already funded through the 112 fund, so.
Okay, so maybe I don't understand. Are we going to get reimbursed for this $42,615?
We already got the money. The money's already sitting in our account,
Okay,
and then we spent it.
okay, so that's what this is reflecting?
We're not getting
grant
money back for it. Yeah, we already got the money for it. They gave us the money. Here's the check, go buy your cars.
Okay, so this is the grant money? Okay,
Yeah.
There's a fourth vehicle, there's a pickup truck as well, that's coming.
okay. Thank you. Then on line 17, Par Corporation Professional Services Roadway, $11,771.
I'm not sure exactly where that was for, but that's, PAR's on the NPA. I don't know if,
Engineer,
Mr. Prendergast.
Can you answer that for the council, please?
I'm not sure where exactly it is.
Well, neither do we. It just says Par Corporation, $11,771.22, and then Professional Services Roadway.
So I would imagine that the most recent roads, I believe it would have been Matity and those surrounding roads and Pound Hill Road. They did the engineering work on that. We did, and then they did a little bit of engineering for the most recent Woonsocket Hill, George Lee roads. So
Okay.
they usually give you a breakdown on the invoice. If I signed off on the invoice, I remember it being 11,000, but I can't, it says right on the invoice what it's for.
Okay, but you recall
Oh, they definitely
that-
did the work.
that?
Oh,
okay,
absolutely.
that was definitely done, okay. All right, thank you. I don't know how to, because these aren't, there's no page numbers, so going
There's a number on the very left.
to the number 9, so it would be budget unit 1074360. Do you see that?
Yep, Rockcliffe
So
Farm.
Rockcliffe Farms, $17,550, year 1 of 4. It says reimbursement. I'm not sure what that is.
That's for one of the capital projects that the water is currently doing. Let me see if I can pull up more details. Give me a second.
So it just caught my attention because it says year 1 of 4, so.
It's part of the capital projects that they're trying to do.
And who is doing it?
Water?
Oh, this is water?
Yeah.
Okay. And then the other one would be the last one on that page, line 15, Stantec Consulting Services for $34,475. Comstock Rehabilitation.
Yeah, that's the demolition or the rehabilitation, sorry, of the Comstock Tower. Those from the ARPA funds.
Oh, this is APRA.
APRA, yeah,
Okay.
APRA. I always get them mixed up.
Okay, and then the only other question I had after was the check register, the subsequent pages. Some of the, so page 1 in the detail expenditure status report, it says that the date is 7/10/2024, that it was run. And it just seems that some of the funds have been already expended, some of them are already over, some of them have a large, I a large amount left.
You said detail expenditure reports,
Yeah.
page 1.
So that page 1, I'm just looking at all of them, and they vary so much because some of them are already over, and it would seem that it shouldn't be over in the first week of the first month of the first quarter.
That's for the last fiscal year. That's not for this fiscal year. We haven't rolled over our accounting system into the new fiscal year yet. So this is for the previous fiscal year.
So all of these are?
Yeah, anything that you see here, except it is labeled on the first page, the very, very first page of what is and what isn't. If you see, there's 2 gray boxes. One is for fiscal year 24, one is for fiscal year 25. So we don't have anything for fiscal year 25 yet because we haven't rolled over the accounting system yet. So these are all, anything you see here is for fiscal year, for the previous fiscal year. We're in our period 13.
Okay, so
Essentially.
if we see, like, municipal court with $12,010 left over on that first page of expenditures, is that we haven't expended it yet?
If there's a
Is it the
balance, then
balance?
yes. Yeah. But I wouldn't say that, I wouldn't go as far as saying that that's, stuff that we can grab yet until we fully reconciled every account. So it's not something we can pull into reserves yet. But yeah, essentially there's a balance left in that expenditure line that can be used if the work was done in June or prior.
Well, I mean, so that would be the case for everyone then, because, I mean, we have in the finance department, we have $53,000 left over. Does that make sense? 53,333. And that would be page 4, I'm sorry, page 4.
Probably does, because we had put in the HR manager last year, and that was like 35. So
Correct.
in salaries.
So that could
it should
be-
Correct.
There's
Left
about
over.
35 in salaries.
Okay, okay. All right. Thank you very much.
Anyone else have any other questions? Anyone like to make a motion?
I can make a motion. Want me to do the 2 separate years? Is that how you want that to be?
There's nothing for 2025 yet, so you could do them for, there is, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was going to say there is for this. Yeah.
So one is $1,006,000, the other is $2,005,000.
2.5, yeah.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to approve $1,648,766.10 for fiscal year 23-24.
That's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call?
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara? Mr. Ogier?
I'd like
Yes.
to, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry. And I'd like to make a
Wait minute, I
motion.
didn't-
Right.
yes.
Ms. Alves?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I'm just trying to get through this. And then I'd like to make a motion to approve $2,541,321.77 for fiscal year 24-25.
That's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Just real quick, Tony, in the future, can you just like flag if it's a grant money? We probably could have just avoid, even if it's in the memo or an extra column, you just put an X.
Or just highlight it?
Or just highlight it, make it a different color, bold it.
I can definitely try, because the only thing is sometimes I don't know that.
Yeah, well, what you know.
Yeah, especially when it comes to like the police
Yeah.
department, I don't always know if that's coming from a specific grant. But I can definitely, I've been keeping my eyes on it, but I can definitely flag them for you guys.
Okay.
That's part of the,
Yeah.
something for later.
Can I just ask another question? Wouldn't that be how you code it if you know
Yeah,
if it's
that's what I was
coming from
gonna
a grant?
But that was this discussion I wanted to bring up with you guys later, is with some of the expenditures, I needed more clarification of what is and what isn't going towards some of the grants that we're starting to receive in terms of the expenditures towards the police department.
Okay.
Okay.
So we have motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara? Mr. Ogier?
Yes.
Ms. Alves?
Yes. Discussion by council vote or other action on consent agenda. All items listed in this section are considered in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the consent agenda. A, Town Council minutes of May 20th, 2024. June 3rd, June 10th, and June 17th of 2024. And communications from Animal Control Monthly Report of June 24. North Smithfield Fire and Rescue Monthly Report of June 24. North Smithfield Municipal Court Monthly Report of June 24. And North Smithfield Police Department Monthly Report of June 24. Does anyone want to remove anything from this consent agenda? No one? Everyone's all set? Anyone want to make a motion to approve the items on the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara. Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Old business, discussion by council voter, other action on status / progress report of specific items. First one's facility manager, Mr. Ogier.
So I know we approved some money in the budget, so what I thought is in August, I'll bring something to the council as part of a next step, and then we can go from there.
Okay. Second one is grants. Did you want to review that sheet we have, or?
Well, yeah, I can go over that sheet. TJ, have they logged in as G&G grants? Are they in the waiting room? I didn't know we were. All right, I can go over this. I got it in front of you. Probably just if you have questions, ask me, and I can give you any infill that you may need.
I have a question.
Yeah.
This sheet is it might be, I think it's a little misleading, because what I'd like to see is what is G&G doing for us, right? And a lot of these grants are stuff that you and the planner have worked on to getting us. But I'd like to know I'd like to know specifically what G&G is doing for us.
Well, if I remember correctly, I don't know if it was Councilor Hamilton asked for playground equipment. Was that one of your questions, Councilor? Playground equipment?
I believe at some point I had questioned whether or not that would be available.
Yep. The second one, I sent a forward of an email from G&G to Council President and Council Vice President on Friday, seeing if they had any interest in a grant that they may, if the town wanted them to pursue.
Can I speak to that though, real quick? I didn't respond to it because I didn't think that is the decision that should be made over email. So I appreciate you reaching out, Paul.
I wasn't asking you for a decision, I was asking for input.
Well, it's significant because the email is related to low to moderate income housing and funding,
Yep.
and I think that could have been an agenda item at a council in terms of part of like, what, do we even want to apply for that type of grant? Or, not yet, do we, what's the rest of the planning around it? I just didn't feel like I knew enough to say yay or nay on it.
And that's why I asked for you to weigh in and give you the opinion. So if you're thinking about putting on a council agenda, good point. Maybe you should contemplate doing that.
Why can't you ask us to put it on an agenda?
I'm doing it right now. You want to put it on the agenda?
Yes, please.
Because I was waiting, I didn't get a response. So tonight, I'm on the seat asking you to put a, if I had gotten a response,
you didn't
let
get
me
a-
finish, please.
Okay.
If I had received a response since last Friday, I could have put that forward to you tonight.
Okay, so maybe if you didn't receive a response, you could have reached out to us.
Well, I did reach out for you to weigh in. I think I've taken the liberty of sending this to Council President and Vice President for their input.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be on the record. Any major decision for the town, I'm not gonna make in an email.
Yeah.
Just
I'm not
okay.
asking, I was asking you to input.
Yeah.
I didn't ask you
No,
to make
my-
a decision,
just
yea or nay.
My input would be is we
Yeah,
just,
well, let's not get on semantics.
I'm
Councilor.
not, my decision would be is going forward is that if it's about a grant and it involves significant grant money, that it should be a council decision and which should be on an agenda.
And
That's all.
that was the intent and the verbiage of that email.
Yeah, I'm just being clear.
Okay.
That's all. I appreciate the reach out though.
You're welcome.
All right, so anyway,
Back to the question.
back to my question. Is there a way, like, what is G&G doing for us? That's what I want to know, because I recognize a lot of these grants and stuff that you achieve for us.
Yes.
But what I would like to know is what is G&G doing for us? Are we getting our money's worth out of them?
Can you put your mic on, please?
My mic is on?
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
So G&G is looking into playground equipment. As we all know, playground equipment with ADA and safety requirements is very, very expensive. It's not the little monkey bars and the swings we had that knocked our teeth out and broke wrists on. So, very expensive. That was the mission that they were given to look into.
Playground equipment.
Yes.
So, but that's not on here, right?
But I have another question, and because I know I've also asked about the playground equipment, but let's not get caught up on playground equipment right now. Have we given them our budget and said, go find grant money for any of these things? Like, have we directed them in any way, or is it, we just let them sit on retainer passively and we're just paying them the money? And if they find something, they find something, but it's kind of like a, there's no like fire lit to
No,
say,
we've
go
given them
find stuff.
suggestions, I think. Haven't we?
I'm sorry,
given
what'd you
them
say,
mine.
Counselor?
We've given them suggestions as to where we'd like to,
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
See, and sometimes these grants get a little muddied. As you are aware, we have $1 million to work on the police station. We have over $330,000 in the first tranche that's released. It's in our account. Once the council is serving as a review board for the police station comes up with something they want to have corrected over there, such as maybe a sally port or lockers, then you can apply that money. Once that $333,000 is expended, we get another $333,000. So now, when we ask them to look for grants for bricks and mortar at the police station, we already have grant money. We already have an in which enhances the applications that potentially receive more.
okay.
I think what might be helpful, John, is maybe if there was like a spreadsheet and it was like grants the town identified, grants that
Yeah, exactly.
G&G identified, and then also because I know they had mentioned that they couldn't get access to some of the grants that we had applied for, so they couldn't manage them. So I don't know if those issues were resolved. And I think another thing here would be to know deadlines, because some of these are fiscal year '22, and I know that those deadlines come up fast. So it's great that we got the grant, but it would be a shame if we didn't expend it or use it in time to actually take advantage of it.
So I don't know if I'm the only one that recognizes this is the first time this format has been used, because prior to that, there was a spreadsheet that was created by the town planner, which gave you date of applications and the amount. So I think it's good. I'll have that conversation with Mr. Grasso tomorrow, telling him, do you prefer to go back over to the spreadsheet?
I think the spreadsheet was easier. It's fine.
As long as there's enough of an explanation.
Right.
Yeah.
As to what it is. May I, in that regard, may I ask a question of the administrator? So under senior support services, it says the planning department is submitting the final request for payments. They've spent $15,622, $5,260 on transportation to shopping, $1,985 on entertainment and classes at the Meadows, and $8,367.45 on tables and chairs for the multi-generational center.
Correct. And your question is?
We don't have a multi-generational
Did we get
center.
one?
Well, hopefully there'll be a decision of where it will be, and we'll have them. They're already at the police station delivered. They're in storage at the police station as we speak.
Based on what?
Based on the application for chairs similar to this and tables, for when there is a multi-generational facility, you'll have tables and chairs to host functions.
That could be years away, though.
Well, we don't have
No,
years.
I'm just saying, though, we haven't even heard the report back from the multi-generational
If they don't go
committee.
bad, I mean, if
No, I'm
if
not
we have an
saying,
opportunity
but-
to get tables and chairs, grab them.
Yeah,
Right, I'm
what
not
years?
disagreeing. I'm just saying that could be,
Yeah,
it could be
but
sitting
you
in
know,
storage for a while, which would be a
But
shame.
it just seems to me, and I know I'm going to sound like a broken record again, that there's no plan, and that we had a dollar amount, and we grabbed some chairs, and we're sticking them in the police station. Where in the police station are they taking up space that we're going to need to move them again because we're going to be doing renovations? How many? What kind are they? Were they vetted by anyone ergonomically for seniors? I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
You?
if anybody knows that building as far as storage and moving, and I believe it would be you, Councilor Hamilton. You're in there. You're on that review committee. Have you not seen them there?
No, I didn't know
Oh.
we purchased anything. I mean, I
sorry.
haven't seen that.
They've been there for a
Come
while.
personal.
Mr.
Been there for a
Zelinski, we're
while.
asking a question, and if you could just please give us an answer. Where are they being stored? Has anyone looked at them? That's all we're asking.
They're being stored at the police station.
Where? That's what
Up
we're
on
asking.
on the second floor, where the room, what used to be the building zoning official, water and sewer.
Oh, I have a lot of questions, but not tonight.
Well, tonight would be a good night to ask them,
No,
Councilor.
I don't think so.
No,
No?
thank
Okay.
you anyway.
Is there any other updates you want to give on the grants?
Yeah,
Is
I'll-
G&G
I'll-
on the line?
sure.
Or are they on, or were they
I'm
supposed
sorry?
to be on tonight?
Oh, no.
You didn't know of, we weren't told that they were supposed to be.
You just said they might be on. Are they
I was
supposed-
asking if they were on. I didn't say, are they on? So how about a little good news? Hopefully it'll be receptive. It's good news. Remember that it is not final. We went through this with the first phase of St. Paul Water Street Extension. Senator Reed was pleased to forward the second application, Phase 2 of St. Paul Street, to the Senate Appropriations Committee. So we won't know, just like the first time, we probably won't know till September, October, how it's going. But it was looked upon favorably by the senator, and he sent it off to the Appropriations Committee.
Administrator, so would that tie into what the director of the water department was saying the other day about wanting to increase the water lines, get them away from Blackstone? Would that achieve that goal?
Oh, most definitely.
Okay.
And is there a match to this one as well?
Yeah, 20%, same as last.
Because we had trouble finding the first 20%.
That was
Well,
going to cause that huge
I
increase.
think that the next council will be making that decision probably 2 years from now, and that can be built into the budget, whether the ratepayers pay for that, which is probably what will happen. So I need to ask the question. So does the 20% match pose a dilemma to you, Councilor Hamilton? Because in essence, this line work has to be done. So would you support taking $1.2 million and the town paying 20% of that to
Yes.
get this work done?
Yeah, I think you would too, right?
Oh, I already have. I made it quite clear.
But we haven't
I-
identified where the 20% is coming from. That's where I have the problem.
Well,
Philosophically, we agree. Financially, we don't agree.
Well, that'll be a decision that'll be made another year to 2 years out. in
Well,
the
I think
future.
we have a responsibility right now because we are in office till the end of November.
Yep.
Mhm.
But you're not voting on this one right now. And by the way, at any point, if a council does not wish to take federal money to improve water lines, they can do so.
So
They
no
can
one is,
reject it.
no one's really saying that, right?
I don't
Right?
think anyone
I don't
is
think
saying that. I
anyone's
think
saying
what
that.
Councilwoman Hamilton was
back
saying
and
is
forth.
that, and I think we need to wrap this conversation up, is, it was like, what, 11 o'clock at night, and it was like a $600 increase was going to be felt. There was no talk of that coming. There
Right.
was mentioned like 8 months ago that there was a grant coming, and then there it was in the budget for the first time.
Yep.
And there was no talk about, well, how are we going to budget it, or what are the strategies out there? Are there additional grants that maybe we can be maintained? But I don't think anyone is saying we don't support federal funds and we don't support improving infrastructure in this town. I think it's just, how do we do it now that we dodged that obstacle? How do we not get in that situation in the future? I think that's all we're saying up here, and we have been saying, is we can't live year to year, budget to budget, and then expect to fund all these things. It's just,
Or expect the taxpayers to.
eventually it's going to be unsustainable.
Right. We should
I
have a
We don't want to
plan.
put a future council in that situation where they have to reject something.
I'd just like to sum it up. Either you pay 20% for improvement of water lines over in the Waterford area, or you don't support it. And if the federal money is, this second tranche of money is awarded to this town, then it'll be up to the town council sitting in that dais to make that decision. But you have to have a plan. I would not be an advocate for going out and taking $2.4 million to build a water line and put it on the backs of the ratepayers.
I don't-
So you got 80% of it
Well,
being
you are
paid.
you are putting it
doing
on the
it.
back of the ratepayer.
20%.
20%. And I don't think anyone, I've been listening to this conversation now for a while, and nobody has said we don't support infrastructure and we don't support federal funds. So it can be spun however it wants. All it needs to be said is that we just need to come up with how we're going to fund it. We always have ideas in this town, and we always have like pie in the sky dreams, and 10 years go by and we never actually talk about how we're going to fund it. I mean, I can count 5 projects right now that have never been completed.
You want to
I'm not,
listen?
no, I'm not getting
No,
into
please
that.
listen.
No, I'm not listening
I would
right now,
like you to
Paul.
listen
You
in
want that.
public.
So I'm going to
Please
say, let's
listen.
wrap this up, and can we move on to
Listen.
the next
Can we-
agenda
can we
item,
stop,
please?
please?
Can I just
Can
say
we just
one thing?
move on?
Yeah, just one quick thing. At the last meeting, when Bill Dakota was here, he was trying to have us come up with a way to pay for 100% of that water line. That's what that whole $600 and all that stuff was about. We're like, oh my God, that's so much money, and rightfully so. We decided not to saddle the water users with that bill. So now, instead of coming up with a way to finance 100% of that water line, we only got to come up with a way to finance 20% of the water line. I think that's a win.
No, I think what we were looking at, and maybe someone can correct me, I bet they will. We looked for the 20% from either the residents.
The ratepayers.
Okay, I'm
Not all
sorry,
the
I'm
residents.
sorry.
No, I just
The
wanted to-
residents
right.
with, it, you know, all the residents who have water, right? And then we decided that it would be absolutely out of the question to put that burden on them at the 11th hour, which is what you're saying. So we looked at their fund balance, and they had $500,000, and we took it. So they don't have it.
How much did you take?
So-
You didn't take the whole 500,000.
We took a good chunk of
We
it.
took a,
You took 240,000. So know your numbers.
stop correcting me.
I think
Well, you
we
said
said
you
we
were
I'm
short.
just
Can we please stop
explaining.
this tonight?
You said you were short, so we will correct you.
Mr. Zelinski, we should be able to ask you a question and get it
Jeez.
answered. We shouldn't have to go back and forth and be treated like this.
You're getting the
I would
answers.
ask that you please answer a question if we ask you one.
Council President, I am giving you the answers. I just don't like getting caught up in semantics. That's all.
Do we have any more questions on this?
I'd like to know where we're going to get the 20% before we
I
have to.
don't think we'll know until we have a
Well,
3 to
I
5
think-
year forecast.
Well, well, that could be a problem.
Right.
Can I just ask that G&G be on the next meeting? That's all.
Yes.
That's an idea.
All right. Does anyone else have any questions, or can we move on? Well, I mean, it's ridiculous. We should be able to ask questions. The next one, human resource position. I hate to ask this, but what is the update on the human resource position? Has that been posted?
Administrator?
Oh, you want it from the administrator? Yeah, we've interviewed, and we've narrowed it down to one selection. The personnel board was in the committee. I have a committee when we hire people. This person was offered the job. BCI check was completed, and the person has accepted the position.
This is for HR?
For payroll benefits
No, no,
coordinator.
I'm talking about the HR manager.
Oh, forgive me, I'm way off. No, HR, I don't know what's going on with that.
Well,
That's kind of-
it's been approved, the ordinance has been done, so we need to get that.
We can do that.
Could you please post it so we can start interviewing? The next one is Municipal Building Review Task Force. We were going to try and schedule a meeting for Thursday, but Eric Ami cannot attend on Thursday. He has a zoning board meeting, so we're going to ask for alternate dates from him so that we can schedule that meeting. Joanne, I'll send them to you, so if you can just forward them out to everyone. If we can just, once we get the email, if we can just kind of turn those dates around pretty quickly, because, you know, they kind of were sitting a little bit, and then he had other obligations. So we do really want to get that on the books for that meeting, so we can ask the questions of his different options that he presented. So we will get back to everyone with a meeting date.
Madam President?
Mhm.
Are we putting the cart before the horse on this one? Because we have not even approved his deposit yet. So that, for all we know, that might not pass. So I think we should, before we start scheduling dates for Eric Army, I think we should make sure that we're going to agree to his contract over here.
And Mr. Biragad, the reason we're asking him to come, because the last meeting we had, we didn't want to approve the deposit, so we asked him to come so that he could answer questions about the different options. So that's why he's coming, so we can ask him questions. We haven't done anything with a payment. We haven't approved anything. This is strictly to ask him questions about the options he's offered. And that's what we all agreed to the last meeting.
Right, but agenda item E, it shows that we're requesting a $5,500 deposit to begin with, which would,
I'll speak to that.
So
Yeah, I'll speak
that's
to
further
that.
down, but
Yeah.
right now, we're
Yeah.
talking about any
But it's
updates,
just
and the
different.
update would have been that we were hoping to get a meeting with him. So with no one really responding to that email until today, now he's not available on Thursday, so he is gonna give us more options. So it was just for him to discuss the letter that he had given us earlier that that some of us had questions on. B, discussion by council vote or other action on Hallowell Review Committee. Mr. Porter? And Mr. Porter, just before we start on this, nothing, we really haven't had any multi-generational committee meetings in quite some time, so
Understood.
I don't think a lot of this should really maybe be discussed, because we haven't even seen any proposals or anything, so I don't know what.
You mean the report back from
Yeah.
BH+A?
Mhm.
It's my understanding that that report is complete and the planner has it, so.
Okay, but we as a committee
You as a
haven't
committee,
seen it?
I totally understand that you as a committee have not seen it. Nothing has been presented to you. What I'm here for this evening is to try to set some hard dates so we can start moving on something. As we drag our feet, and I'm sorry to say that, as we drag our feet and not do anything, that $4 million is going to get less and less.
I just want to clarify that. We're not dragging our feet. We have been waiting to get this report
Okay.
back from BH&A. So I just want to kind of
Okay.
reiterate that we're not dragging our feet. It's taken some time to get that back, so.
Understood.
And like I said, the committee as a whole has not met on this yet.
Yep, I know. So that's one of the reasons why I'm here this evening, is because members of the Hallowell Review Committee would really like to start moving forward again. It's been since January 25th, since our last joint meeting, where it was the master plan was approved and accepted by this council. What we'd like to start seeing happen is that there be a joint meeting scheduled after the Multi-Generational Advisory Committee meet and review that report that BH+A has provided. I understand that that was provided last week to the town planner. The other thing that I'd like to see our town make some decisions in regards to either property by the end of August. I think that's a reasonable time frame to have a joint meeting with the Multi-Generational Advisory Committee, have a joint meeting with both the Multi-Generational Advisory Committee and the Hallowell Review Committee, and then that way the council can then make an educated decision on how we want to move forward with where the multi-generational center is going to be located. I just want to remind everybody that we did have a joint meeting at one point back in, let me look at my dates. Make sure I have my dates right. But it was approved that the $4 million was to move over to Hallowell. I understand that we have been put on hold. So I just wanted to underscore again, especially being in the field of architecture and construction, knowing that escalation is occurring, that I want to make sure that we're maximizing the value of that grant. So if we could or if I could request that the council commit to having a decision by the end of August, which I think is more than reasonable, then that way we're all providing something of benefit for this town. I went through a quick search this afternoon. Of the 39 cities and towns in Rhode Island, there are only 2 that do not have some form of community center, senior center, or rec center. We are one of them. No? Burville has a. Okay, so 3. Still not a good numbers, however you want to look at it. And I also want to remind the council that to date, we have spent quite a bit of money preparing the Hallowell site, between the land survey study that was done by Weston and Sampson, the master plan by BH+A, and also the demolition costs to now have that be a clean site ready to go. So I understand that there were some items in the agenda that we put forth. Again, I wasn't expecting any formal votes this evening, but I do want to encourage the council to discuss amongst yourselves. I know you have a busy schedule. I know it's summer. It's tough to get meetings. But I would really encourage the council to have these meetings, so then that way we can all start working towards something of benefit for this town. As at this point, I'm impartial whether it's at Hallowell or Scouters, but I would like to see something done for the folks of this town, because there has been so much time and effort put into these studies, put into the work by volunteers, through surveys, by the architects that we've worked with. There's been a lot of work gone into this, and I just want to make sure that we're not missing out. There was an announcement about a month and a half ago through Governor McKee's office. There was Lawrence 365 grants that were awarded. We missed out on that because I didn't know about it. I've actually reached out to the woman that was in charge of the second round of grants. I've reached out to her to see if there's a way that North Smithfield can get into that, because there is $81 million being provided by the federal government for this sort of thing. So again, whether it's at Scouters or Howell, I just want to see something get done, as does my committee.
Can I ask a quick? So I'm just going to try to figure out in my mind the process here that we need to go through, right? So the planner has an updated version from BH&A, right? Or to determine if Scouters is appropriate, right? Then it will go to the multi-generational committee. The multi-generational committee will vet it, will discuss it, will make a recommendation, a yay or nay, to the council. Then the council takes it. Is that how everybody sees it? Okay, because I know you've been saying the council should, the council should, the council should. Well, but I mean, I think, you know, we're certainly not trying to prolong this either, because we know that there's a deadline for utilization of that grant, right? I mean, so regardless of if it was in the backyard here, we should still use it because we've got it, right? So
yeah, our biggest concern is that $4 million sounds like it's a lot, but it just continually gets smaller and smaller as you know, each month that we wait. And you know, I'm working on 2 $5 million projects right now, and that is getting tight. It's tight. So I just wanted to bring it to the council's attention. I wanted to get everybody almost on the same page, and hopefully that we can, you know, I'm optimistic that we can make a decision one way or another by the end of August. So then either committee, however it gets figured out, one committee, another committee, a combination of committee, dissolution of committees, however it plays out, we're just ready to see something get done, and have the council make a final decision, give direction, and then we can be along, so we're, again, providing a benefit to the town. So that's my spiel for tonight, but I'm hoping that, you know, I know Mrs. Tebow's here, the chairwoman of the multi-generational advisory committee. I've been talking with Mark Carullo, simply because I'm also on the planning board. Understand that report has been submitted, and it's ready to go. So I'm just anxiously awaiting the multi-generational advisory committee to meet on it and hear BH+A's presentation and go through this process. But I wanted to get it on the 5 of your radars as well, just because we're getting a little antsy. We've been told to start and stop and start and stop, and we're just getting ready to start moving again.
Thank you.
Any questions for me? No. Can I get maybe like a nod for we can get this done by August?
I mean, we're going to try. We have to have a multi-generational meeting.
Understood.
And listen to them, and and we'll let you know.
We're mid-July, so.
Okay.
I know things move slow with these sort of things, but.
Thanks, Jeff. I think, I agree. I think that should be one of the top priorities, is doing something for the seniors.
Thank you. All right.
I think we all agree we need to get something done, but to set a date right now, we still have to have a meet. Yeah, sure. Yeah, go ahead. Do you want to go up? Yeah.
Thank you, Jeff.
You're welcome.
Linda Tebow, 83 St. Paul Street, Chairman of the Multi-Gen Committee. If I learned nothing in my 7 years in public office, is that things take time. It's a process. The Multi-Gen did meet. We hired BHA as the architects to give us the site analysis. They gave us a site analysis. I believe we got it at the end of April, the beginning of May. There were many questions that the planners had, the assistant planner and the planner. They had many questions regarding the report. So they gave those questions out to BHA, and a lot of give and take. When can we do this? And in the meantime, we're waiting to have a meeting because nobody wants this. My expiration date is much closer than anybody else's, so I want this done. And so finally, yes, we did get a final report, July 9th. It took from the end of April, May, till July 9th. And that's why we're waiting to have a meeting. And, oh, by the way, we got some new reports on the wetlands of Hallowell, too, at the same time. So right now, what we're trying to do, we're not dragging our feet. We're trying to coordinate a date that's good for the committee and for BHA. Joel's going to come and do a presentation to us, and then he'll do another one to the council as well. When we have that meeting, and that report is, Kim and I did get a report, because she's the president, I'm the chair. It's big, and took a long time to read and to digest. But the members will all get it. Hopefully they'll get it a week before we can have a meeting, so they know what we're talking about. We'll hear the presentation, we'll discuss it, we'll have a vote, we will give our recommendation to the council, and that's the process. But we're not dragging our feet. Honest, we're not. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda.
No, I'll apologize. It was probably a misuse of words.
Thank you.
So if there's no other questions for me, I'll happily step down, so you're on to your next thing.
I think we're all set. Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you. Discussion by council vote or other action on proposed amendments to the North Smithfield Town Charter for ballot placement at the November 5th, 2024 general election. Mr. Ogier?
Yeah, so I'm just following up from our last couple of meetings. You know, I think this came up in mid-June. Last meeting at the end of June, we had an agenda item to ask for any more discussion on it or any more ideas. Since then, David and I have been working on it. And so there's two amendments before you this evening. The first one, well, the first piece of paper is the state law. But then the other one is an amendment to look at moving from an elected town administrator to a professionally managed town manager. And, you know, you see the form of government, the outline of the question, which says, well, I'll read question one. Should I read it, probably, David? Yeah, so question one, commencing, form of government, town manager, council, commencing on December 1st, 2028, shall the charter be amended to establish a town manager, council form of government in the town of North Smithfield, establish the powers and duties of the town manager, change the wording from town administrator to town manager, and provide that 1, the town council shall appoint the town manager, 2, the town council shall appoint the town clerk, 3, the town council shall appoint the members of the Personnel Board, Conservation Commission, and Economic Development Commission, and 4, the town council president shall be recognized as the official head of town government. It gets into about what is actually being amended, and then Article 1, basic provisions, through the end, pretty much rewrites the town administrative section of the charter into town manager. We looked at tried and true language to see kind of how could we blend the work that was done previously to more current, up-to-date language, and then also to the additional removing of appointment positions to from like boards and commissions and those types of things changes as well. And essentially it just explains that this charter amendment establishes a town manager council form of government in the town of North Smithfield commencing on December 1st, 2028. It establishes the powers and duties of the town manager, replaces the term town administrator with town manager, and provides that the town council shall appoint the town manager, the town council shall appoint the town clerk, the town council shall appoint the members of the Personnel Board, Conservation Commission, Economic Development Commission, and provides that the town council president again be recognized as the head of government, and that a vote to approve would establish this form of government essentially. I'm happy to answer any questions on that one. The next one is just staggering the terms. And so, again, question 2 would be commencing on December 1st, 2028, shall a charter be amended to establish that the town council shall be elected to serve 4 4-year staggered terms and shall serve terms that shall not exceed 2 consecutive terms of 4 years, provided, however, that any former elected official shall again be eligible for election after not less than 4 years, shall that time have elapsed of such 8 consecutive year period. And the reason is if when we go to this, the top 3 vote getters would get the 4-year term and the bottom 2 would get a 2-year term. And so it reads so that those, if they are running for reelection, can't be forced to not run, which you wouldn't want anyways. So it just allows you to make it whole. And then the rest of it just kind of outlines that, just what I read in terms of how it would read on the charter. I know we have a public hearing, so, you know, if there's no questions, we can look to open it. If there's questions, I'm happy to answer.
Well, I just have a couple, if you don't mind.
Yeah, sure.
I oppose this for two reasons. The first reason is, if you remember during the whole police station debate, one of the biggest arguments against the police station that we heard was, we already voted on this. We already voted on this. Well, we already voted on this too. We voted on this back in 2018.
And 2010, I believe.
And it was defeated overwhelmingly. So now we're just voting on it again. It's really no different than the argument for the police station saying, everybody's saying, we already voted on it, you're stealing my vote. It's no different. We already voted on this. The people have spoken. We're gonna just keep doing it until it passes. And then the other reason is this. We have an election going on right now, and we have two people running for town administrator, all right? One of which is in the audience tonight. And the people that support these people are very enthusiastic about each of their candidates, right? If we went with the town manager, neither one of the two candidates that are running for town administrator would qualify for the office. And both of them seem very qualified and very good people. So I think the system works. We're showing that it works. We got good people running. We have a great administrator now. And I think that the system, we're showing that the system does work. So to put in the hands of a council, who knows what kind of council you're gonna get that's gonna hire the right town administrator. Let the people decide. That's the way the system is, and that's the way it should work.
Exactly, so let them decide on this.
I think we already let the people decide who the town manager.
This is much different. First of all, in 2018, it was It was a town administrator. No reference to town manager. If I wasn't paying attention, I'd have no idea what that means. I'd be like, don't we already have a town administrator? Why are we now appointing one, right? So, I mean, there's some confusion. The wording was kind of confusing as it was. There was some good stuff in there, don't get me wrong, but there was a lot of detail in there in terms of who appoints and who's looking at this, and there was a lot of, I mean, we cut out a lot of the details in there. And I don't, this is not about anybody that's running now. This is about...
No, just use that as an
future.
example.
No, I know, but you also use, you could get a bad town council.
That's
you
right.
could get a bad town administrator.
But the people chose that person.
People will elect their town council, which, you know, this model works. It works in a lot of cities and towns. I mean, we had a lengthy discussion about increasing the town administrator salary. And if those conversations continue and we keep increasing that town salary, you'll be almost at the level of a town manager before you know it. And that's a lot of money to be paying. And what happens if you don't get a good town administrator? You could get a ton of good ones, and the system could work perfectly, and you could not. But town government is becoming more and more complex, that there's a reason why more and more cities and towns are turning to these types of positions. And this position here is no different than like any other job. You can term them at will if you want. I mean, it's no different. It's very successful in a lot of communities. And I think now is the time that as we talk about a lot of the things about planning and other things like that, we should be looking at these skilled professionals to come in and manage the town. It's a different day nowadays, different time, and, you know, let's just see what the voters have to say on it.
Can I ask a quick
Yeah.
question about why you would think that the people that are running wouldn't be qualified for this? Do we have
I haven't seen
qualifications?
their resumes.
We did discuss.
There is,
Generally
I mean,
what the
are they-
qualifications
are
is.
So here's the qualifications, that might help. You want me to read it, Paulette?
Well, just,
Yeah, I'll read it, it's quick. Section 1, appointment of the qualification. The town council, by a majority vote of its total membership, shall appoint a town manager for an indefinite term and fix the manager's compensation. The town manager shall have at a minimum a bachelor's degree, a master's degree in public administration or its equivalent is preferred, at least 5 years experience spent as a senior manager, administrator, or similar position, at least 5 years experience in municipal collective bargaining is desirable, and a demonstrated ability to communicate orally and in writing. The manager need not be a resident of the town or state at the time of appointment, but the manager shall reside in the town after his or her appointment. However, the town council may waive this requirement for like a short-term basis.
Okay.
until they can be relocated.
So these are kind of minimum qualifications, right?
Right.
You would
Right.
start looking with
Right.
this, okay.
Similar to what you see in like Smithfield and Burville and a
Oh,
lot of
there's
surrounding
like
communities.
20 or 22 communities that have a town
Yeah, a lot of them have it.
manager, yeah.
Not to put you on the spot, but just for the sake of discussion, I hear you were a good town administrator.
Yes, I was.
Did you have any of those qualifications?
No,
Right,
right,
exactly.
yeah. Well,
The
But-
system works.
yeah, and I'm not saying that it doesn't, but I think for it to work, you give people an option. If they vote it down, then that's it. Then we know exactly how they feel.
And I'm not
right?
saying the
And
system
if they
doesn't work.
say- And if they
Can it
say,
be
you
better?
know, this is time, we want to try it, we haven't done it before, then we have to honor what they, you know. I don't have a problem putting it on the ballot, that's for sure, and letting people decide. I don't think I want to decide for them, but I'd like to let them decide.
I've had a lot of people come up to me talking about a town manager position. This wasn't just something I thought up. I've
I
heard
know.
it from
I have
a
too.
lot of
And I
people.
just
A lot
disagree.
of, yeah, a lot of people seem to be in favor of it, so I figured, let's, like you said, just put it up to the voters and let them decide. If they don't want it, then I respect that. If they do, then we respect that as well.
But it's already been on the ballot.
A lot of things have been on the ballot here, but
Yeah, but being on the ballot once doesn't mean it can't be done again, because there are new people, you know, more people moving into town, people that have moved out, so the political atmosphere of the country, everything taken into consideration, you know, you never know how people are feeling, and I think to make up our minds that we won't even present this, you know, I could insult people, I don't know. I could insult people, say,
Well,
listen, let me make up my own mind and I'll vote and tell you.
I just trust the voters, the whole town voting, more than I trust a majority of 3 on the council to pick the right person.
but those majority, that same majority, is also picking the council. So if you don't trust the person to pick the town manager, should you be voting for that person? I mean, you can get as deep into that as you want, but your importance on the council is also going to be just as important now, because now if you move both of these, and these don't have to pass together, you could say move to a longer term for the council, because a lot of what I've heard is that there isn't a lot of time for council, and that's part of the reason why a lot of things break down, is that it's a new council comes in, they stop moving, things come to an end, they kick the can to the next council, and that process just keeps repeating, or plans change. So that's where that one came from. But, you know, if you move to a town manager type position, who you pick for the council is going to matter it's going to be very important at that point. And so if we trust the electorate to pick one, we should trust the electorate to pick both. That's my belief.
I disagree.
It's okay, we can respectfully disagree on it.
I think the people should decide in a vote who they want to have as their town administrator.
Excuse me. Just gonna open it up.
All right, so, anyone like to make a motion to open the public hearing?
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Anybody like to get up to speak, regards?
Oh.
Okay. Go ahead,
Okay.
Steve. I know.
Steve Byron, 2000 Providence Pike. I just want to make one suggestion. Approximately 24 years ago, the town voted to do staggered terms on the council. It was approved. This was in 2009. And it got approved, and it was the same recommendation that the council had proposed, 3 years, the top 3 vote getters move on to the next, and it was a court challenge, and it got overruled. So I just want to caution that the wording is correct this time versus what it was 24 years ago. Because we went on through the whole thing, it was approved by the voters, the top 3 council members were picked, and it got thrown out of court.
What was the discrepancy that's been corrected?
I believe, from what I was on the council at that time, I believe it was shall or will, it was one of those words, the shall or may or whatever. And there were two local residents who brought it up to Superior Court, and we lost.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Linda Tebow, 83 St. Paul Street. I just want to let you all know that this has been up to vote. I was on the Charter Review Commission twice, and twice this came up, and twice it went to the voters, and every time it was voted down. And I think in the end, it's been voted down 3 times. 3 times. One thing I learned in 7 years of public office, I learned how to count to 3. I learned how to count to 3. A town manager, and I know Mike Woods in Burville, he's doing a wonderful job. And I was very convinced when I was on that Charter Review Commission that, maybe that's a really good idea. Then I learned to count to 3. The town manager reports to the council because that's who appoints them. A town administrator is responsible to the people that have put he or she in office. So they don't like you, they don't vote for you again. The town manager, just basically works for the town but answers to the council. That's all. Bye.
Anyone else?
Joey Savigny, 1790 Pound Hill Road. We're having a public hearing tonight. Was these documents made public to anybody so we could review them? Because you guys are sitting up there and reading qualifications and different things. I've never seen any of that, so how are we having a public hearing on stuff that we don't even know what's in those documents?
Was it on the website?
It was on the website, I was gonna say, right? Yeah.
So it was posted on the website? There was no copies in the back because I looked, so.
In the back in terms of the...
In the back with the agendas. So it's hard to have a public hearing when, most of the people sitting in this room didn't even know what was on the document because I asked a few.
Well, this meeting was posted last Thursday. So there was at least 48 hours of a notice. And this isn't the type of public hearing that you need to put in the paper and everything like that from a technical perspective.
Oh, I understand
So,
that, but there should have at least been documents in the back of the room for the people coming to the meeting to review.
I don't disagree with you on that one. That should have probably happened. So I don't disagree on that one.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joey.
Anyone else?
Mike Clifford, 489 Black Plain Road. I have to say, I agree with some of the comments that were made by Mr. Beauregard, which is unbelievable, but anyway. I too, no, I agree. He said it correctly. We just put it up to the ballot, and it was just voted down by the people recently, and I don't think it should go back up right away. I'm someone who's always advocated for the appointed town manager. I served on 3 charter commissions as well, or 2 at least, I think maybe 3. And I was strongly in favor of it all the time. I probably still am. But I don't even understand why what's the rush? What is the rush? Why are we doing it now instead of putting it on the next election's ballot in 2 years? And why aren't you forming a charter commission review to review it and come up with the credentials and the screening committee and all of that? Because those are the reasons why this has never passed. There was no screening committee. Then when the last time they put up a charter commission thing, they put a screening committee in. Great. It was all school department people on it. 3 principals. Hello? They don't even have to live in town, and they're going to serve and select the town administrator. So that was flawed. And before that, every other council, when we came before them with the charter proposals, they usually watered down all the qualifications so that they could all run for it. And some of them said, I came right out and said, are you against this and modifying this so that you yourself can run for it? And I heard the answer, well, no, I'm not interested in it, but they do say never say no. And sure enough, it was a yes. So, can we please, it's every time you rush into something, it gets screwed up. And this is something you don't really want to screw up, the charter. I think last time we made some changes in that charter that I didn't support at all. And I've lived to, and one of them being the change to administrator for 4 years. I agreed with some people that, yeah, maybe that will attract a better candidate. But I also didn't like the idea that we were tied into that administrator for 4 years. Now you want to tie the town council members in for 4 years. I think that's outrageous, 2 years. The problem isn't a lack of continuity, isn't because the council does changes. The council can change and you can still have continuity. The idea is that sometimes, and I think I said early on in January, I was talking about putting some questions on the ballot, but I was asking for questions on the ballot like, could we change the charter to have a penalty for violating the charter by a town council member or an elected official? That's what I wanted on the ballot. I didn't want this on the ballot. I wanted those types of things. Or putting in language, what is the penalty if somebody violates the charter? Because I told you, the judge won't rule that there's any penalty to be divvied to someone for violating the charter unless it's specified in the charter what the punishment is. So there's not a lot of thought going into this. It's kind of thrown together. A screening committee, I mean, I don't even know if there's a screening committee in that because I too didn't see what was on the town website. And, it's kind of crazy, but I don't know what the big rush is. Why can't this wait until the next election? There's nothing here that can't be put onto the next election that's still going to impact the same people. And I don't think your 4-year term is going to pass for the council. I'll tell you right now, because people don't even like a 2-year term sometimes. And 4 years, people can do a lot of damage. So, and 2 years, then we don't need a recall. We don't need a recall provision if the term is only 2 years. By the time you get the recall all organized, 2 years is up. So, that's a safety net, and that was a very big positive for a lot of people. So having served on that committee for 4 years, with you, 3 times, or 2 times at least, as I said, I can't even remember. I think I know when Ernie Woodworth was chairing the Charter Commission, it was a 27-member commission, and I used to go to the meetings. I can't even remember if I was one of the members or I just went all to the meetings, so that's why I'm saying 2 or 3. But 2 definitely. But I definitely don't think this is a good move to rush and get this done quickly just because you want it done now. And I also am sensitive to the idea that we voted on it once, and they did vote on it fairly recently, and there's nothing big time dramatically different at this point in time because you're coming up with a kind of a loosey-goosey proposal that doesn't have the things that the voters told you before they wanted when they voted it against it. They didn't want the 3 principals to be making a decision. They wanted a screening committee. They didn't want it to leave it to the will of 5 council members. There was a screening committee involved. And that screening committee was preordained by the language in the charter proposal that said there'll be one member of each of the 8 town boards that are named in the town charter. And the members of that board will elect their representative to serve as the representative to the screening committee. So you had no idea who it was going to be in the future. It wasn't like they could handpick and cherry pick their screening committee. We didn't even know who was going to be on the council to pick the people who got appointed to the boards, and the boards do have staggered terms. So, it was a really well thought out plan, but unfortunately that year they changed the criteria to something that I ended up voting against it because I was annoyed that they could give it to Bobo the Clown and he'd get it if they wanted him to get it because they put such crazy loose qualifications. So I say absolutely no, please, no.
Thank you.
I just want the record to reflect that I've tried a few times to form the Charter Review Commission.
Mm-hmm.
It was shot down by the whole council, so.
Anybody else like to get up and speak? Anyone else? No? Do you want to maybe leave this open and continue it, and that way people can look at this and give people some time to...
If we can come back next week,
It has to be by next week.
we need by August 7th, and it needs to go to the Board of Canvassers and still get certified by the state, yeah, it's,
It wouldn't be next week, it would be
Before the-
August, right?
no, it's due August 7th. August 7th.
Before you close the public hearing, can I get an answer to my question? What is the rush now? Why is it important that this be done in this November's election versus next 2 years from now in the general election?
Well, you just brought up a good point. You don't know who's going to get elected. There's no guarantee that something an amendment can even get brought up or put on to the next election. We're in, to Councilwoman Hamilton's point earlier, we're elected now to serve to November. I don't believe in kicking the can down the road to the next council. I've never done it.
Okay.
Okay, I'm not making this personal. I mean, I'm giving you an answer. If you don't want it, then that's fine. I'm gonna give it anyways, but, I mean, my point is I've been trying to suggest a charter change for a while. That's why I wanted to start the charter review committee again. We never really did anything with it at the council level, and so I just decided to say, hey, I saw an email from Joanne, I said, let's take action on it. That's all.
So we would have to revisit.
Ideally, it'd be sometime next week.
What if we did it the 29th, 2 weeks from,
I don't think that would happen.
today?
The 29th would be too late, right?
The canvassers have to meet and vote, whatever, assuming you approve something, it has to go to the Board of Canvassers, they have to approve something, and then it has to get to the Secretary of State by August 7th.
August 7th.
I can usually get a meeting set up with the Board of Canvassers very quickly.
Okay.
So.
Then if they can meet, then I'm fine. The 29th, or that week.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we don't have a meeting till the 5th. You want to have a special meeting for this?
Yes. If we're not gonna approve it tonight.
Can we just not do the, I'm gonna be out of town.
No, it doesn't have to be the 29th.
Can we do like
Oh, yeah.
the next
I can
week?
call them too.
We
'Cause
could do
I'll
next,
be out.
yeah, we could do next week if it works, later in the week if easier. What?
Clerk is indicating that she could get a Board of Canvassers meeting between the 29th and August 7th, if need be, assuming you got that far.
Yeah, assuming.
Okay, so can I just ask logistically so within the next period of a week or two, what's the game plan to get information out to people so that people know what it is that we're asking them to?
I mean, I'm fine with advertising it if it's gonna, that would be a vote for the council though to authorize that. I mean, we don't have that on the agenda tonight, but I mean, we could put stuff in the newsletter, we can utilize the website.
Oh, we have discussion by council vote or other action.
All right, then if that falls under there, then
Could we, if we wanted to like vote on doing an advertisement or something, does that fit under that?
Yeah, I think you could do that.
Okay.
You can give them this advertising for advertising. When you meet the vote for advertising, but I would
Right.
suggest that you do.
May I say something?
Sure.
I agree with Mr. Clifford, but I think that, I think we're rushing it. We're jumping through hoops right now to get this done. It's no rush. There's no rush. It's still, even if you get it on the ballot right now or 2 years from now, it's still effective not until, what? 2028. So it can still be, we do it now, it's effective 2028. We do it in 2 years or 1 year, it's still effective 2028. So there's no, we're rushing it right now.
if the council wants to vote it down, the council can vote it down. I'm just one person.
Yeah.
It's,
See, I know what he's thinking, and you probably would too. If you're coming to the end of a term and you feel passionately about something, you want to initiate it. You want to make sure it's at least done before your term
I've
is
actually
up,
been thinking
right?
for a while
I
that
mean,
this town should move to a town manager. It's
Yeah,
not just because
so
the election's
I
coming
don't
up.
question your motives, I just
think
disagree
it's
with you.
Probably
I
that.
just haven't spoken about it a lot.
Yeah.
So if we want to continue this and pass out some information, then have
Mr.
more
Byron.
public
I
speaking.
just have one question. Are you gonna be able to get the wording all corrected in a matter of a week and a half? That's the only thing.
Yeah, I know we've been working with, David's been working very hard on it as well, and we've been talking, we've had communications with the general code and the Secretary of State as well.
Okay. Go ahead.
The goal is to get as close to an end product as possible without having to worry about wording or anything like that.
Right. We have another person still open.
I'm going to reiterate again, I don't understand the rush. And I don't understand why, if you were passionate about something and you wanted something to come to an end before the end of your term, you would have started working on that passionate thing 2 years ago, not in the last month of your term or the last 3 months of your term. So I'm not buying this. I don't know what it's all about. And as I said, I want a manager. I really do. I think it is the best thing for the community, but not this way. It's like an accident waiting to happen. We did the same thing with you did the same thing with the charter, with the language on the ballot for the police station. Some people had an idea of offering options. Other people didn't want to give people a choice. Okay, You did crazy language that nobody even understood. So that didn't get anywhere. And this type of thing, too, I think is going to really not get you anywhere. I don't know how many, and I think it's going to offend a lot of people, too, because you didn't even, we're not waiting, we haven't given, you know, we haven't waited long enough to see, is this working or not? We had one 4-year administrator. And, you know, it looks more promising. Maybe it will work now that we have more candidates who have slightly, you know, better qualifications and stuff than we normally get. So, again, I don't know what the rush is, and I think you'd be hard pressed. If I was passionate about it, I would have started 2 years ago. I've been mentioning it since January, I think it was, or December, that when are you going to work on the charter? When are you going to work on the charter?
I'm just going to reiterate again, not to get into a tick for tat here, but December of 2022, I did ask to form the Charter Review Commission. All right, so I let it lie for a while because I didn't sense an appetite from the council that we were looking to make any significant changes. We still had discussion for the police station, the multi-generational, which we're still having to this day. So, you know, that's the reason why it wasn't really pushed from that end. I mean, this language is tried and true. It's successful in other communities. And so, like I said before, I'll say it again. If the council doesn't want it, vote it down. But I'm going to vote to approve it. This isn't rushed. You know, it can be said what it wants to be said. I'll just leave it at that.
So, is this hearing right now on the administrator or the town, manager and the 4-year term?
Yep.
May I say something on that?
Yeah.
The 2-year term, it keeps people uncomfortable, okay? Because you're up pretty soon if you plan on running it, and you should never. 4 years makes you can be sitting here a little too comfortable, and you should always be uncomfortable when you're up here. You should be uncomfortable when you make decisions, and you should have to think forward. Like, you know what? How's this going to reflect on me? That should always be. There should be a level of comfort up here that you're sitting here for 4 years. I think 2-year terms keeps people honest. It keeps people on their toes. And it also stops the people from it's like an automatic recall every 2 years on everybody. I don't like running every 2 years, but you know what? It works. That works too, and it keeps people honest.
This is not about me or about me, anything like that. This is about, you know, I don't disagree with you, John. I think everybody should be, you know, on their toes and kept honest. I mean, I know I've proposed a lot and I speak a lot at these meetings, and I feel that as well. But, you know, you look at it, and I've heard from a lot of even former council members that 2 years wasn't enough time, especially for a first-time elected official. By the time you really get your feet wet and you actually understand how to kind of navigate the things, it's sometimes a year to 18 months. I've heard that from numerous people, not just myself. That was my own thought process. So, I mean, some of that is, you know, you get past that learning curve, maybe you can do more. Maybe projects would be wrapped up a little bit quicker. I mean, if this passes, it's up to the voters, and whatever the voters want to approve or reject, I'll respect it. It's their decision ultimately, not mine.
What about a staggered term for the council? I mean, still doing 2 years, but stagger, instead of everyone getting off at the end of 2 years, that they have different.
The only downside to that is you may want to look at 3 years, because then you'd have an election every other year, or every year. So that was the reason I went for.
All right, so
Because it's probably infrequent that you have all 5 or all 7 or all wherever you are in whatever community gone at the same time. You know, because I would worry about institutional knowledge. I'd worry about, you know, that could be dangerous if you have 5 new people with no experience and trying to get up to speed. I mean, that could be. So I can understand the logic behind it. It makes, you know, it makes sense to maintain some continuity as the new people come up, you know. So I guess that, but I don't know how often that happens where you have an entire board that is replaced simultaneously, you know. I don't know.
So I'll leave it up to the council.
Well, we still have open.
Yeah, it's still open for public hearing, so.
If you're going to continue it, I'd continue the public hearing too.
Right,
Don't just continue.
Yeah. How do you want to move forward?
I'm fine with continuing it to a date certain. Seems like that is what the council wants to do, so I'm fine with that.
As long as we can make sure that people know what the heck we're talking about before.
And then we can do some advertisement.
Before we, yeah.
I'm not comfortable with coming here another meeting just to get this in under the wire.
I mean, the argument of extending it is to allow more time for people to be able to be notified and hear it and speak to it if they want. Otherwise, I could say, we're not doing that, and I'll ask for a roll call vote tonight. But I agree that I think there's benefit to waiting an extra week to see if we can get the word out a little bit more. You know, there's things we could do on the website, like we can put a button on there so that a banner on there, when people log in every time, it says, click this announcement. We never use it. We could do it every time the meeting's live. You go to a website, it tells you the meeting's live. We never use it. So we could leverage the tools that we have now to increase that advertisement. And if we had social media, we could extend that, but we don't do that either, so. So I'm fine extending it if, I know, Madam President, you said the 29th wasn't good for you that week, so.
Yeah, that week I have to bring my daughter back to college.
Yeah, that's fine.
So it'd have to be next week if we're gonna do it at all? 22, 23, 24?
Because I don't think there's a way to do it on the 5th, right? That'd be too tight of a turnaround.
If I schedule the meeting now, I can schedule it for.
Like the 6th? Okay.
Mr. Byron, would you be interested?
Can you put your,
On board, would you be okay with, get one person now?
That would,
What date again?
on the 6th.
Yeah,
that's too close?
So,
gotta be in by the
so
7th.
they would, what,
What
So
date
the-
is that? Day on?
a Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday.
So the Board of Canvas would approve it Tuesday, and then
Right now, I'd say I can.
I mean, if we're gonna do the 6th, we might as well just save it for our next council meeting, right, on the
Right.
5th?
That's what, yeah,
We're
we found
looking
that.
at- We normally meet at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Yes.
All right,
If-
why don't,
if
that's
it-
a good idea. Why don't we
Let's
just
just do it on the
keep
5th.
it on the 5th,
Right,
so we're
David?
not getting ourselves, enmeshed into yet another meeting, and then try to get, no, I think I'd like to, I hope we hear from people. I'd love to hear from people, because I have heard from people too already, but, kind of anecdotally, right? So I don't know how you get it officially back here, so that's something to think about too. But the 5th probably would be the best, and then we can have the meeting on the 6th, and it's gonna be cutting it close, and if it cuts it too close and
But-
doesn't go, then,
If we have everything prepared,
It's sitting right in front of you.
right?
Yeah.
No, I'm saying if nothing is changed,
Well,
then it will be fine. But if there are changes to be made, I don't know if the solicitor would have time to do
right.
that.
No, that would make no sense at all, no, so,
any changes you make are gonna be, it's either gonna be one question, two questions, or you're gonna modify something minor, or you're gonna eliminate a question. I mean, can be turned around. What I'll do
Sorry.
between now and then, I certainly take Mr. Byron's comment. I'm not aware of any litigation. General Code didn't mention it, neither did the Secretary of State. We'll look into that.
I believe it was.
No, I'm not disputing you.
I believe it was 1999.
We'll look into that.
That makes sense. Okay, so we'll do that.
All right, so we're gonna.
Yeah,
make a
we'll
motion to
continue,
keep
yeah,
the-
so,
I will say also that when we submitted this to General Code originally, they wanted some time constraints. So this will give us another chance to send it back to General Code between now and the 5th. And if there's something to be changed, we can post an updated revised version,
yeah.
based upon either what Mr. Byron had indicated or what General Code recommends. So, we'll post it ahead of time, but the concepts are here.
right.
So I'll make a motion then to continue the public hearing in this item to the August 5th meeting.
Second?
All right, we have motions.
This entire matter, yep.
Public hearing, approval, transmission, and discussion.
Correct.
Yes, correct.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Just real quick, I say that we just call the vote. I mean, doing what we're doing, it looks like we can't make a decision. Just call the vote. You brought it up. Call it.
Right now, we have a motion to continue to August 5th.
So under discussion, the only reason I'm continuing is because I've heard from a few people that there's value to waiting. So that's the only reason why. I mean,
we've had
if we
folks
call the vote tonight, everyone's gonna say, you just made a decision without considering anybody else. And waiting, we may not get it in. But it's better to wait in this situation and give people the opportunity to come and present it. And, you know, at the end of the day, if one of them moves forward or both of them don't move forward, I'm not gonna lose sleep over it. But like I said, I've heard from a lot of people in town, that's the only reason I put it on the agenda and worked on it. That's really the only reason.
Okay, we have a motion, a second. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Biragad.
This vote is to continue the meeting?
Yes.
No.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes.
And then I'll make a motion to, was it advertise? Do we need a motion?
You indicate what you want. Do you want to advertise in the paper? It should have been on the website already, but if it's not, it should be there.
Okay,
It's in clerk.
So make a, just so then, I'll make a motion to advertise in the newsletter, the website, and in the paper.
So Valley Breeze and
Yep.
NRI now,
Yeah.
the two.
Soccer call. if we're not-
Soccer call. Okay,
All right, so
second?
that's a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Madam President, that if you're going to advertise, I don't think you're going to print this entire thing. You're going to refer them to, and this should be referred to as a draft, right? Because
Right.
it could be
To the
changed as
website.
a result of a public hearing, comments by Mr. Byron, comments by General Code, comments by the council. This isn't,
Yeah.
this
Very
wouldn't be the final.
preliminary, right.
Just want you to be aware of that.
Right. Okay.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Right, what do we,
Advertise.
yes, thank you.
Mrs. O'Hara. Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. Discussion by council vote or other action on authorization of resolution to the Rhode Island Traffic Commission and the State Department of Transportation requesting a traffic study for the area in the town of North Smithfield along Route 5 from pole number to pole number.
I think it's to be determined.
Yeah, I didn't know what they were when I was asked to draft this. That would have to be provided either by the police who are reporting this problem or DPW if he knows he doesn't know. He's turning he doesn't know.
Actually, you asked me to get you that information, and I forgot.
Yeah, I wouldn't know what poll
Okay.
numbers to put in there, obviously.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Biragad, did you want to speak to this since?
No, this is just what we discussed before. I was making the recommendation that we put in guardrails over by the field in order to stop the parking that goes on the street. Some people disagreed, so what we came up with was that we would just see what DOT thinks, and that's what this is about.
Anyone have any discussion?
Can I, may,
Yeah.
so under the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, fifth whereas municipal signage has been insufficient to prevent motor vehicles from parking along Route 5. If we haven't enforced it, can we actually say that?
I think you have an old version.
No,
Well, then we all.
then I can't vote on this tonight.
Yeah, I think you can. It doesn't say ticketing has been inefficient. It
Well,
just
I can tell you, someone that lives right by there's about like maybe 10 signs that says no
Yeah.
parking, so it's
So-
not insufficient signage.
So we're saying that the signs are there, but they're parking anyway, is
Yeah,
why
we're not
the
enforcing
signs are
it.
insufficient.
Yeah, we're
because
not
they're
enforcing
looking
it.
up and saying,
Right.
I don't
Madam-
care. I'm gonna park
Madam
it.
President, I just want to clarify that I did respond to a comment by Councilwoman Hamilton, and I generated, forwarded, and delivered an updated version without that
Right.
reference in it.
Right.
So, and I'm looking at it with the, on sign right now, and I do not see the one you're referring to. I see the one that I submitted.
Right,
Okay.
right. So no, but I was just saying the fifth whereas, it says that signage has been insufficient, and I just want to make sure we're all saying the same thing, that the signs that are
He took it
there.
out.
He took it out. We have an old
Let's say
copy.
that.
I have an old copy?
We do.
You do.
Oh, we all do? Oh, I'm so sorry.
Is
Well, I
that the
don't know
only
why you have
change?
the old copy, but
Okay,
Is that the only change though?
would that be the only one?
based upon Councilwoman's,
Yeah,
based upon Councilwoman Hamilton's email response after review, I removed that sentence, delivered it to the clerk, and I'm looking at the correct answer that was delivered to the clerk.
okay.
So I just have a question. I mean, we're gonna go through this whole traffic study, but I just don't know if we've actually had any enforcement or
Or no.
anyone out there. I mean, there's been a night that there's literally 40 cars parked, if not one. They're backing onto the street, they're pulling in people's yards, and then they're pulling into the
grass
area
area.
right where the no parking signs are. Now they gotta back out onto Providence Pike. And I didn't see one patrol vehicle there. I know I've reached out to the chief many times, can we just have some enforcement there? And he said, call if you see it again. It should just be on someone's regular beat, that they should be there going and just checking the roadside. We have to be proactive with this, and I just don't think we're doing it. And we're gonna do a traffic study, and we're gonna be forced to put up guardrails that neighbors need to look at, when I think if we just start making people aware of the fact that you're parking right in front of a no parking sign, that, you know, we're gonna do something.
I agree with you, Madam President. You know, I've been looking at, every time I drive by there, since we've talked about this, I've looked at it a little bit closely. One, I don't know how close to the road they're gonna get those guardrails, because the signs are all set back pretty far. And I walked with my family to the fireworks, and I saw a lot of people walking up and down Providence Pike in the pitch black, and the guardrail is not gonna solve that problem at all. Never mind you, it's pretty dark over there, even in the evening. And so I agree, and I know I've said it before, is I think if there's a major event, the detail should be built into the price, or you should be responsible for getting your own police detail, or get barrels. Just have barrels where you can put barrels and tape off the area even on an interim basis. And if we're really gonna do something, wouldn't actually looking at a sidewalk from the schools, connecting the two schools, because I can count well over 10, 15, 20 people that walk that road every day. It's not like it's like never walked on or used, and it's not like there's a lot of area. And if people are parking then on like a sidewalk or some other type of thing, that's another issue. But I agree, I think there should be more enforcement over there. I mean, if you want to risk that and you want to park there, then you should be knowing that you could get a ticket.
Yeah.
Two things. I think saying that people have to look at the guardrails is a little extreme, a little much of an exaggeration. If you have a nice wooden guardrail, nobody's going to be offended by looking out their window and seeing a wooden guardrail going up the street, especially if they live on a main road. And secondly, I agree, we should have a footpath. Okay, but nobody's gonna use it. They're gonna park as close to that field as possible. And all the this doesn't even say guardrail. This just says they're gonna do a study, since we ran into the same argument last time. Everybody was against a guardrail. All right, so you're against a guardrail. Let's see what DOT comes up with. They're the experts. That's what this is about.
So then let's strike the line, including but not limited to the installation of a guardrail. Let's not even put it in their head that that's kind of where we're leaning towards. Let's just see what they have to say then.
Can I ask a question as to why the school department is not a participant in this discussion? I mean, it is their property. It is a sports event that usually creates this, right? Have they talked to us? Have we talked to them? Has anybody, have we, worked together on this?
I believe from what I heard is that, and I don't know, I haven't seen it, but that there's an RFP somewhere from the school to the town about, I believe it's a walking path, or maybe with the parking lot extension. You would think all these things, to your point, Councilor Hamilton, would all be part of a plan over there to kind of figure out. I mean, I saw somebody a couple weeks ago, there was an event, and they had somebody there, and they said lot full, but people were still parking, and there was like no enforcement. I was like, this doesn't make any sense at all. So it's fine to say it, but until we start enforcing it, it's like a lot of our other ordinances, until we start enforcing them, everyone's just going to turn a blind eye. And what is if you have a guardrail and people park on the side of the road anyways, because it's too far of a distance between?
Well, you don't know what you
Right.
can't say that because you don't know what the design of the guardrail will be.
Yeah, but even that night that I went by, and there was like at least 40 cars, they were parked on both sides of the street that night.
I know.
So, I mean, if they come back to us and said, what have you tried doing to stop this?
Right.
What have we done? I don't think we've done
That's
anything.
embarrassing.
We've done nothing.
Other than have it in front of us and say, yeah, well, I guess we need to install a guardrail, but
Yeah, but
we're not enforcing at all.
I don't want to see parents that go watch their children participate in a sport get
Yeah,
whacked
but
with
John,
$75 parking tickets.
If you're bringing your child to a sporting event and you're walking on that street with your child,
Dangerous.
Why should they not be getting a ticket?
Because they're doing it, because it's always been done, and they're doing it
So
because.
they're doing it because we're accepting it. That's
Right.
why they're doing
Correct.
it. So we have allowed them to do it because they park literally right in front of all the no parking signs, and we say, it's okay. So until somebody
consequence.
gets killed, then we're gonna say we should have enforced. But
Or
now is
say
the
that we should have
time.
put a preventive measure up there. That's, I think that'd be.
Preventive measure is having
Put
enforcement.
barrels with caution tape.
I mean, we have to start somewhere, and you're saying, you know, look at a guardrail. Yeah, I don't really wanna look out, you know, if I lived there, I wouldn't wanna look out my front window and look at, you know, you don't know what kind of guardrail they're gonna put up. They could put up a metal guardrail, and that's what you're gonna look at.
I think that's a little extreme.
No, it's
Nobody's gonna
not.
be offended by looking across the street and seeing a guardrail across the street
well,
on
you
a
know
main
what?
road.
But
I just don't know if it's gonna solve the
I
problem.
really, again, it's no plan.
A lot
right?
of the cars that are out there are from out of state or from out of town. To council, it doesn't. Yeah, you're right. It doesn't matter. But you know, to the point that the president just brought up too. I mean, if somebody's backing into the road, because a lot of times now they are pulling straight in and backing out, and then it's a mess over there. You know, when you're coming in and out and you can't see the car that's coming in and out because somebody else is backing up. Well, never mind, there's a bus now blocking off the lower portion of the hill. I mean, it's dangerous. Somebody's gonna get hit again over there. It's only a matter of time.
So
And
what
I
I'm
don't
saying
think
is
we're
instead
enforcing
of-
our own
Instead of having to
ordinance.
whack people $75 tickets, we can do it without hurting anybody as just a preventive measure. Just block it so they can't park there.
Well,
That way there, nobody gets parking tickets.
But why do we have to jump right to a ticket? Why can't we issue a warning and saying, hey, move your car. If I come back around, you're getting a ticket.
Because if that guy doesn't park there, next time somebody else will, and how long are you
Just
gonna
keep doing it, and then you start ticketing.
Can I add something? We don't have a huge force. They've had policemen up at football games, and suddenly they get a call for accidents. So 1 minute they're there, the next minute they're gone. We don't have the type of size force that when they have these big games, that we can provide the coverage.
Then pay for a
Which
detail.
is why
You can pay for a detail. It can be
Right.
from another community
Which is why
even, but.
Councilor Oshia is saying build in to the cost of the event,
A
and
detail.
the responsibility would be on the event planner. That would be included in their thing.
Then
But-
it's gonna be on the school.
No.
School department, if it's a game, number one. Number two, as far as that area, how far is a setback to the edge of the road?
It varies.
I thought it was generally, where asphalt is, 6 feet.
Not on a state
No, they
road.
got cars perpendicular right into the fence, so
Varies, yeah.
I would say it's
Yeah,
at
but-
least 18, 20 feet.
But that would still be using a setback, which you're not supposed to park in a setback.
Right, we're not supposed to park.
Oh, we all agree on that
Yeah,
part.
we're not.
We all agree on that. Nobody should park
We have
there.
people that want to talk. Do you want to open it up?
Unless you get like a meter molly or something set up, a procedure like that, that could work that detail. That's the only other way you can do it. You don't have the manpower.
I just, a lot of areas, like even at my work, if you park in an area where you're not supposed to park, they just tow your car. They don't even like give you notice that you're parked illegally. They will tow you. So like, like, I'm fine with submitting something to the state to have them look at it, but I think if we're gonna really waste the time on it, I think we should be looking at a sidewalk that connects the schools, and then that could potentially be expanded down maybe
They'll
further
park on
into
the
like the Bryan area.
I mean, the state may say to us, okay, we'll
Excuse me.
the state may say to us, okay, we'll prevent parking there, but what are you, town, going to do to allow parking elsewhere? Because exactly what you said, it'll be a rotation, right? Somebody pulls out, somebody gets ticketed, somebody goes out, and then somebody else pulls in. So we have to provide, and I think that's where we have to work with the school department, to provide another opportunity for people to park safely, maybe increasing, you know, the lighting and sidewalks and things of that nature. But, you know, this may be one option toward that end, but I don't think we should stop at that. I think we should look at an overall picture, because this is not going to be, you know, this is going to be something that we're going to be dealing with for years and years, right? Unless we get rid of those.
Why not let DOT experts make the decision? That's what all this is.
Well, I think they'll just.
I know you could put rocks there.
I think, I would put flowers and trees and
Yeah.
beautiful
Oh, God,
things.
no.
I would.
Trees would work.
I would. And not have, and who's
All right,
gonna
let's-
park on my beautiful flowers?
Everybody.
All right, so are we gonna,
You want to open it up?
I'll make a motion to open it up for comment as long as
Second.
the.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes or no?
Yes, well, listen.
Yes.
I just
Ms.
like.
Alves.
Yes.
Please.
Oh, my God.
Sunday there was a preteen football game there. There was not one car that parked on Providence Pike. They put up white cones every 10 feet. They probably had a dozen cones that had, right on the edge of the street, no parking. There wasn't one car parked, and they had a good crowd Sunday. That's all you gotta do.
Where did they get the cones?
Maybe they can't see the sign that's 6 feet off the road. If you put the cones over there, and they also had an A-frame sign at the parking lot that the lot was full or whatever, and people parked down at the bottom of the school or on Grange Road and walked up. So everything you're talking about, I think that's all you need to do. Whoever rents the facility for that event is responsible to put up those cones.
Right.
That-
Anyone else? Gail?
Hi, Gail Berlinghoff, Bruce Drive. I talked to quite a few people, and they would volunteer their time to stand there and tell them they have to go down to the parking lot. This is a town of volunteers, and we're talking about beating a dead horse for the past, what, 10, 15 minutes about parking on Providence Pike? Why? Just, there are some volunteers that'll do that. No, go and park there. Put the cones up. Well, the volunteers will make sure they're not parking where the cones are. When I lived in Foster, we had the Foster Old Home Days. There's not a lot of room to park over there, but there are still, Foster Center, Fire Department was right across the street. So they couldn't park there. We had people, and all they had was cones. And wherever the cones were, they didn't park. They're not stupid. If the cones are right on the road, like Steve said, it's gonna work. And then you have the volunteers there that would just peruse the Providence Pike. But I don't think you have to pay anybody or an extra police department. I don't think so. I think you've got volunteers in this town that will do that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gail.
Anyone else?
Make sure you heard it. Mr. Byron confirmed that was Express Football who was there on Sunday, and as I said at previous meetings, they always do it and they do it right, and they don't have a big problem with doing it. It's just the will to do it. And he also sends out in his newsletter to the parents for the game where the parking is and where parking is not allowed. And if everybody acted like Express Football, there wouldn't be a problem. But that's it.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Jim Schmidt, 16 Moslawn Avenue. I have a question. The signs up there were put up by the town, is that correct?
Yes.
For the fact that it's a hazardous, dangerous parking
It was
situation?
state, right?
State?
State.
That would be a state, just like what's going on in Narragansett.
On Ocean Drive.
They put up signs, the DOT took them down, they didn't get approved from DOT.
Yeah, so it's
So that,
state.
it has to be state.
Well, my
Right.
question, is it the
Narragansett put
state?
the signs up, and what the DOT told them to take it down, right.
Oh, it is the state that did it? All right.
Yeah.
Oh, let me ask you a question. Where we know it's a hazard, it's a town. And we don't enforce the no parking. If there's an accident and people know that, you know, it's okay to park there, can we get sued by the person in the accident by saying, look, you got no parking situation, but you're not enforcing it? You know, it's kind of, everybody knows you're not. So I guess it's okay to park here, and because we've let it slide, could somebody pulling out of there and have an accident, hurt somebody, and would the town be liable to a lawsuit? Or could they be, you know?
Mr. Solicitor?
Sort of as a negligent enforcement of a no parking situation.
So because it's a state road, but it's in town, if there is a serious accident there, does the town get sued? Do they resume the
Liability.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they'll sue everybody.
Yeah, true, yeah.
They'll sue everybody.
Sue
That's the
everybody,
answer to
yeah,
the
true.
question, but it's a state road and it's state responsibility.
It's not well lit.
But the state is not responsible for making no parking, right? I mean.
I don't know the answer
is
to
the
that.
town?
I have no idea. My understanding
I mean,
is
it's just a thought.
the
I mean,
guardrail that's being suggested is on the state road. That's my understanding.
Okay, thank you.
That's my understanding.
Thank you.
The other thing you might do, you want to drive people and to discourage them from doing it. Put a sign up saying, parking, $85. Tickets will be issued by the North Smithfield Police Department. You were parking at your own risk, you know. The option is they can pay the $85 and find some place to park. I'm sure they would.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I'll make a motion pending no other comment to close the public
Second.
comment.
We have a motion and second. Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes.
So I'm going to ask one more question. I know, I'm sorry, Gail. Putting all this in writing, right, saying that we understand it's very dangerous condition, motor vehicles, create such a dangerous situation, dangerous. Does that implicate us further if we're not taking steps on our own other than relying on the state to mitigate any problems with someone pulling
I
out?
don't have an answer for that, but the answer is that if you want the State Traffic Commission to act on a device that's traffic safety, you have to meet a certain warrant of danger, whether it's a red light, stop sign, guardrail, anything on the road. You have to go to the State Traffic Commission. You got to prove a warrant. It's warranted for some sort of dangerous condition or traffic requirement, and then they will issue it. That's my understanding of the way it works. That's the purpose of the resolution, to ask the state to do a study to
Right.
determine whether or not a traffic safety measure is warranted. That's the way traffic safety works. They say, is there enough warrants for a light? Is there enough warrants for more signage? Is there a warrant for road striping, whatever the case may be? That's my understanding of the way it works.
So said another way, they could say, what have you done to mitigate
No,
the issue?
they'll just say there's no warrant.
Right.
They're not going to say,
Enforce
what
it
have you
yourself.
done? This isn't going to be, they're not going to push it back. They're just going to say, we've
No need.
conducted a study, and we have determined it doesn't warrant any additional traffic safety measures. Or something to that effect. They either say it is or isn't warranted. So if you believe it's a dangerous situation, there's nothing wrong with putting in writing that you believe it's a dangerous situation. My understanding, according to anecdotal testimony, is somebody got hit by a car there.
Right.
That sounds dangerous to me.
And if I may make a point, what are you afraid of? If the traffic commission looks at it and says there's nothing there, there's nothing there. But if they look at it and say, yeah, you know what, you guys got a good point here, so take it out of our hands, give it to them. Maybe they'll come back with nothing. Maybe they'll come back and say, yeah, you guys should give tickets. Maybe they'll come back and say we should put up a guardrail.
I mean, I think if we're gonna spend time on something like this, it'd be worth spending time on the speed that goes on in that area more than on the people
yes.
parking. I think that, we had that discussion and it
That's
never
not
went
what
anywhere.
we're discussing right now.
I understand, but I can tell you right now that the cars that go up and down Providence Pike, especially with peak traffic, they fly. And there is no officer in sight usually. So if we're gonna talk about enforcement, we should be talking about like this whole area as a public safety, not just one specific item on it.
Yeah.
I don't disagree with you, John, that I think it's a public safety nightmare at times. But I also think some of we shoot ourselves in the foot because we're not doing anything, whether it's proactively, like at the beginning of the school year, somebody said about putting a sign up that says no parking here during events. Put one of the police signs up there that's a lighted sign. Or, you know, have somebody out there enforcing it. Like, I think there's things we can do before it gets here, cones, other things. I don't think it's about afraid of what they're gonna say. I just think that there's not enough data to support any of this. It's all us just observing it, saying, there it is. I mean, like, I'm looking at it here, and they wanna know pedestrian counts, potentially. These are things they could ask for. You know, traffic analysis, accident analysis, radar speeds. Like, you know, those things may not be applicable in a guardrail, but they're gonna be looking at, you know, that, and we're only telling them to look at specific things here, but I can't, the more I think about this, the more I don't think the guardrail makes sense. I think there's things we can do to prevent the parking on Providence Pike, and we should be looking at how do we connect the fields together at that point. I mean, everyone, when the discussion to put solar over on, you know, the expand the parking lot was up, everyone talked about a lighted pathway. And or fixing the pathway to connect the parking lot to the field so that people could walk safely. That's gone nowhere. We should be focusing on those things, I think, instead of saying, well, let's just put a guardrail up that's not gonna, it's gonna trade one problem for another. People are gonna still walk on Providence Pike. There's no lighting there. People are gonna park on the other side of the street. And we're just gonna be right back here saying, well, now do we need to add a second guardrail on the other side? Or, you know, what do we need to do? So I just don't think there's enough physical data to support this. That's just my
Well, then,
belief.
why don't we just take out the including but not limited to installation of a guardrail? Why don't we just take that out, let them give us an idea, and then we'll discuss it with them,
Right.
and we'll decide what to do after that. So that we're not limiting ourselves, we're not promoting something, we're not telling them what our intent is, we're asking them to provide us with their expertise.
Yeah, Gail's right, this has gone on way too long.
Yeah.
So what, I don't see what the big deal is, just send it to DOT, let them do the study. If they don't think it's worth it, they won't do anything. If they think it's worth it, they'll do something. Take it out of your hands. Right now, it's in your hands. If you do
And you're
nothing, now
right,
you're worried
folks.
about liability. I'm giving you a way to do something about it, and if you're not gonna do anything about it, now maybe we're leaving ourselves wide open.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion to strike including but not limited to installation of a guardrail. And submit it as is otherwise.
What number is that?
Now therefore be it resolved
Okay.
to develop traffic regulatory and safety measures that would create safer conditions for motor vehicles and pedestrians,
There's
period.
also one in the next paragraph, too.
In the next paragraph? Okay, yes. So I'll make a motion to strike that sentence that says including but not limited to installation of guardrail in both the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 whereas, and then the now therefore, and then submit as otherwise to the Traffic Study Commission.
All right, we have a motion.
Could-
Is there a second?
You still need to identify the poles.
Could you just tell me what you're striking for now, therefore?
So the whereas right before it,
Mhm.
right, says, whereas the North Smithfield Town Council desires that the state conduct a traffic study in North Smithfield along Route 5 from pole, and we have to put the pole numbers, which we don't have, to develop traffic regulatory and safety measures, in the
Strike.
parentheses,
Yep.
strike,
Mhm.
including but not limited to installation of a guardrail.
Mhm.
So it would read to develop traffic regulatory and safety measures that would create safer conditions for motor vehicles and pedestrians, period. Same thing in the next paragraph.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I heard you say now, therefore.
Yeah, now therefore be
Okay.
it resolved. That's it.
You all set, Joanne?
Yes,
Okay.
sorry.
Well, the only thing I only see 5, but then I still think you're looking at the old version and not the new version.
Oh, damn it.
You have to strike out one of the whereases.
Oh, yeah,
So the one before that.
this one here, the whereas municipal signage.
Unless you want to keep that language in there.
Because that,
Yeah,
That
no,
was already taken
that has
out.
to be taken out too. Okay, right.
No, no, Madam Clerk, the one you have in front of you is the corrected version. The one that they have in front of them has 6 whereases. That was the incorrect version.
Right.
So you would strike the 5th whereas on this version?
I don't know. I can't tell you. I can only tell you from the corrected version that was delivered to you timely for this meeting as requested and required.
Yes.
Well, it's a moot point, then. We can't vote on this.
Well, I'm sorry.
I don't know what
The clerk has the wrong version, too.
Yeah, so.
All right, so.
And
why
it
don't we
says the
table
get
this?
corrected version.
Ay, ay, ay.
Okay.
All right, so I guess we should table this, right?
That's my suggestion.
Yes. All right, after all that, let's table it.
That's all that.
But we know where to pick up.
If we're gonna
We've had
table
a
this,
robust discussion.
can we at least identify the poll numbers too? I think that would be
Yeah.
helpful. And if maybe just a recommendation, will we say a very dangerous condition? I'm gonna vote no on this regardless. I think we're not doing enough to enforce it ourselves, but, you know, I think if we're gonna say very dangerous condition, I think we should look at and ask the police to say how many accidents have happened, how many tickets have happened, speeding, you know, motor vehicle. Just try to add a little more weight into it instead of just.
And it is a dark
They may shoot this down the minute they get it.
Right, because they're asking for information that we probably can't give them because we don't
We
have
haven't-
any
yeah.
controls over that. All right, so we're gonna table this to the next meeting, Joanne?
Do you want the changes made, you want the changes made that you just discussed and voted on?
Yeah,
And then we'll,
And then
okay.
John, do you want to get the poll numbers?
Yeah. Okay.
And Mr. Biragad will get you the poll numbers. Okay. All right, discussion by council vote or other action on request to authorize the town administrator to sign signal works update building assessment for the North Smithfield Police
Okay,
Station.
so that was put on before we had an opportunity to get in touch with Eric again to see if we could reschedule a meeting, so I'm just going to table this until the next meeting.
Okay. Discussion by council vote or other action on update of public works, update on trash recycling. Mr. Pendergast.
Good evening, Ray Pendergast, Public Works Director. If I could just kind of throw my 2 cents in, I don't want to prolong that other thing that took forever. Is sidewalks in there? Because there should be sidewalks from the middle school to to once you go past the entrance. There should be sidewalks. Curbing sidewalks eliminates everything everybody's talking about. In addition, no parking signs, you ticket and towed, bottom line. And that comes from Warwick, where we have state roads, where if you park on a state road, you get towed. Trash and recycling. Program's been going for the last 2 weeks. It's actually going pretty well. Once people started to figure out that their trash wasn't going to get picked up in their old bins, they're starting to conform to that. There was a little issue with the count of the new carts. So we should be having another delivery of carts. It's being shipped out this Friday, and we should get them by the beginning of next week. And that should take care of the issue that we ran into with the database that we received. It wasn't identifying in-law apartments. So that kind of set us back on people who had in-laws. They weren't getting their trash, and we're down to like no cots left. So we had to put this order in 3 weeks ago. So if that number was a little closer to what we thought back in February, we wouldn't be having this issue at all. There would be no issues at all. We will continue to pick up all recycling bins and trash. They're being brought to Resource Recovery and Full Circle Recycling. Those containers kind of benefit us on our tipping fee because it goes towards our diversion rates. And I will be finalizing the trash and recycling policy with some new updates, which will include residents with the capability of purchasing additional trash and/or recycling carts. This fee and updated policy will be presented to the Town Council at the next meeting for your input and approval. Any questions?
I have one. So I know that there seems to be a cart issue. So I know right now, I believe our residents can bring it down on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Is there any possibility to open it up a couple more days, just in the event someone can't make it during those hours?
To bring the carts down? We've actually
carts or recycling or
We actually are picking them up, the old ones.
No, just general recycling. I know I was told we can come down to the barn and drop off
Oh,
our
on
recycling
Wednesdays
on
and
Wednesdays
Sat-
and Saturdays. Can we
Yeah.
open that up until at least
Well,
this
the problem
issue
is I don't
resolved?
have anybody to police that, and we can't have everybody going in and out with all the trucks. It's an accident waiting to happen. So we therefore, I have people work 3 to 6 on Wednesday and 8 to 2 on Saturday to get rid of that liability. So.
Okay.
And it's been going, and I have to have people watch what you do, because on Saturday, they were pushing people over to where the recyclables are, this new cot that we have. And as they drove off, drove out of the parking lot, we found all plastic bags inside the containers with all sorts of contaminated items, not just recyclables. So people are just sneaking stuff all over the place, and they don't understand that we get fined for this.
Right.
So
Yeah, no.
it has to be policed.
I figured I'd just ask.
Anyone else? Sorry.
I'm sorry. I just would like to see more education about what's recyclable and what isn't, because I think people do still get confused about that, you know, like film, if you take it off the, you know, I mean,
Yeah.
there are certain things that you just can't do, and I think that would help us in the long run to educate people to what we really can and cannot do. And
Yes, and we are working with that. We work closely with Resource Recovery. They do have an educational component of this. We're going to be putting a program together to get into the schools. That's my first big issue, is the schools with recycling. It's kind of non-existent at this time. So we're going to get in there. They have new containers. We got rid of the cots. The big issue with recycling is contamination. You can't put trash with recycling, because the recycling now gets thrown into the dumpster. It's no good. So it's all about educating the people what they can put in their cots and this and that.
Can I ask one more question? Oh.
Excuse me.
You go.
Been going to a lot of graduation parties this summer. Plastic cups, solo cups, that's not recyclable, is it?
I don't believe so.
No, I didn't think so.
I don't think so. They used to be.
Because they're throwing them all in there, but I just wanted to.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're not though, right?
As I was told by Resource Recovery, when in doubt, throw it in the trash.
All right.
It kind of spells out, all the paperwork we have really does spell it out with the bottles, containers, and paper. But I have to tell you, over the last few years, that list gets smaller and smaller for recycling. But God forbid we put a plastic bag in that recycling, because that's automatic no-no. So, and we still have people doing it. It's getting there. It's slowly, I try to stay on the positive side of this, as much as it kind of got a lot of misinformation out there. And once things get posted with more misinformation, it just kind of feathers its way up. And then when they call here, we're telling them, no, that's not what you do. This is the answer. So if you have a question, call my office. We'll give you the right answer.
we have everything on our website?
Should be on the website.
Is
Yep,
that-
it should be on the website. There's been some corrections we've made, but I think for the most part, there's a lot of moving parts. It's only been 2 weeks. I always give it, to be on the positive side, 4 weeks to see where we're at. I got a report today that our recycling is up, but I want to do a full month, because that'll be 2 full recycling weeks. So it's looking up. Trash is down and recycling's up. And so I want to get the rest of the cots to the people who deserve them, and then for people who want to buy additional cots and stuff like that. I think that's going to just put the program right into fast gear, and we'll be in good shape. Give it another month or 2, we'll be in good shape.
Thank you.
Can I ask another question? It's more so about maybe recycling. But I believe some communities, I don't know off the top of my head, but I know they sometimes do extra pickup around major holidays for recycling. Is that a no because of the contract and the way it's structured, or is that something with discussions?
It's not in the contract, but it could be something we could talk about for, on Saturdays, Wednesday nights and Saturdays. We could add hours to Saturdays to have people come if they had extra stuff, which we usually do at the holidays.
Right.
With all sorts of stuff with the boxes. We have the capability of taking large boxes now at Highway, instead of trying to crush them up. A lot of people get the Amazon deliveries.
Yeah.
And so we have that capability. If they want to bring it down, we can put the bigger ones and cut them up until we have a big container for that. Purposely did that. So trying to help out as best we can. For the most part, people are pretty good about it. They're staying positive.
So that's something we can let residents know about cardboard, they can bring it.
Yep, and that should be on the website, because I think
Okay.
I'll check with my clerk, but I'm pretty sure she has already put that on there.
Okay.
But if you cut it up in small sections, that can still go in,
Oh, yeah.
correct?
Oh, yeah, you can, yeah. We'd rather have you use your own recycling receptacle. But some people are in business at home and they get a lot of cardboard. Or a TV box.
Or, you know,
We had-
Amazon ships you one little thing and it's in this huge box.
They have big things, so we have no problem. We can do that for them.
Okay.
Trying to
Yeah.
help out as best we can.
Is anyone dumping different things, different places when they shouldn't? Like sometimes before you put out a chair, they just take it. But now,
Well, you have your bulky days, you've got your white good days, things like that haven't changed. It's just about when they can do it now. I thought you were asking me, are people still doing things illegally? Yes. But the nice part about this new company is when all the trash and recyclables are dumped, they're videotaped. So we know when and where now, so.
well, they're very kind.
I have one more question.
Tell you
Yeah,
that
yeah,
much.
they're very kind.
I have one more question for you, then I swear I'm done. The yellow bags, those are available, correct?
Yeah, they're still, and
Okay.
actually,
I've heard
they've been a
some-
lifesaver for us for the last couple of
Okay.
weeks.
I thought they had because I've seen them, but I've heard some people say they're not, so I just figured I'd ask the question for them.
And those are good, they're helping us right now, and what's gonna happen in the long run, once people are afforded the opportunity to get the additional bins or carts, those bags will kind of fall off a little bit, unless you have like a big party or something like that, you can still use that as an overflow.
Thanks, sir.
Any other questions? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Discussion by council vote or other action on Economic Development Commission's recommendation to award bid for Route 146 Water Line Tax Increment Financing TIF. Request for proposal RFP. Mr. Byron?
Stephen Byron, 2000 Providence Pike. I'm the chairman of the Economic Development Commission. On July 11th, the commission met and we discussed the TIF, and it was unanimously approved to make the recommendation to the town of North Smithfield Town Council, excuse me, to award the bid to Camion Associates for the amount of $32,500, which includes all time and expenses. We took no action on the other Phase 2 or the alternate services. We only voted on Phase 1.
Mr. Byron, we don't have anything in our packet about this? Do you have anything? No?
I don't know, there's no way I could get anything in your packet. We met Thursday night.
We'll have to wait then.
Well, are we doing a meeting? Next
On the
meeting?
5th.
On the 5th?
No.
Well,
just
no,
our reg-
are we doing an MBITF meeting? Like,
Oh, we don't know. We have to wait and hear from.
Not one for
So,
this week.
may I ask a question? So you're talking about, you don't have a copy of the proposal of the
We have-
bid?
No.
We have
The
nothing.
only bid?
I was gonna ask you what's in Phase 2.
Yeah, me too.
Is this time sensitive? Everything is over
No,
there. Everything is
and,
over there.
and I just want to clarify one misunderstanding that some people have that we've heard. This bid has nothing to do with the laterals. What we discussed the last time I was here about putting the laterals, this has nothing to do with the laterals. This only has to do with running the water lines, whether it's economically feasible and what kind of return on investment that the town of North Smithfield can assume to get on added tax revenue. That's what this thing's about. It has nothing to do with what we're trying to get through in the next year. So, I mean, it's really not time sensitive, but we'd like to move on it quickly. Because what we understand in the proposal, they're going to meet with the town and the Economic Development Commission. So we got scheduled meetings with that to go on what they expect from us and what we expect from them.
So it would be okay if we met
Yeah.
on this on August 5th and we could see the proposal ahead of time?
Yeah, I
Okay.
can,
Okay. So Joanne, can we move this to August 5th, please?
Meeting's filling up fast.
Huh?
That meeting's filling up
I
fast.
know.
this came from the town planner.
Okay, yeah, unfortunately, we don't have it.
Yeah, we don't have it.
All right. Is there anything else you wanted to discuss? I mean, we don't have it, but is there
Um,
anything you wanted to highlight before we see it?
just that, like I said, the fact that it was the only bid. Oh, one thing I did want to let you know is, speaking with the finance director, what we originally spoke about in February, where the money was going to come from, because I hear that all the time, where the money's going to come from. In that economic development account is 59,000 and change. All right, so we're looking at 32.5, which would leave 27.5. If we did go on to phase 2, which probably won't be for another year or so, I would assume, that's 25.5. So we still have plenty of money to cover both phases if we elect to do phase 2. So we don't have to worry about where the additional money's going to come from.
Okay.
The money's there.
Perfect.
That's great.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, new business discussion by council vote or other action on North Smithfield Heritage Association request for payment. Mr. Are you handling that?
Nope, I have to recuse myself due to my involvement with the Heritage Association as treasurer.
Okay. So this is from Mr. Keene.
Any extra time on your hands?
There's a letter in our packet asking for the $9,000 that's been appropriated in line 101-4111-56050. Is that just the line item in our budget that we normally?
Yeah, he's just submitting it as a formality. Most of the time, we just, Jerry Ann and I will.
Just transfer it?
We'll do it when they request it, but he's just doing it as a formality, yeah.
Okay. All right, anyone like to make a motion to approve this request?
Make a motion to approve this request from the Historical Society.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Heritage Association.
Pardon me, the Heritage Association.
Is there a second?
Second?
We have a motion, and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad?
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes.
Mr. Ogier? Oh, sorry. Ms. Alves?
Yes.
Thank you.
Discussion by council vote or other action on appointments to town boards/commissions for the Parks and Rec Commission. One appointment to complete a term from 12/1/2022 through 11/30/2024. I believe there's an application in your packet.
Madam President, I've appointed Teresa Grist to that position. You have the information in your packet. If you have any questions, Teresa's here, but I'll try to answer them.
So this is a town administrator appointment?
Yes.
I'd like to say, when it comes to appointments, it's always impressive when the person that is up to get appointed shows up at the council meeting. It's always, for me, that means a lot. It goes a long way, because you don't see that a lot, but good job.
Teresa, have you started yet?
I've attended 2 meetings so far. They take a break for July and August due to the summer, but I've attended 2 meetings.
Oh, thank you for stepping up.
Yes, we've heard wonderful things about you.
All right, next is discussion by council vote or other action on review of North Smithfield Town Council protocols. Mrs. O'Hara?
Yes, over the months, especially during budgeting time, the different department go to the stand in front of all of us, primarily, and complete their presentation for this yearly thing. During that time, some people get up, interrupt to go to the podium, interrupt them, will even speak to them. And it's the same thing as far as the finance department, etc. I think everyone can say what they want, and while it's going on, they can take notes. But they should wait, not interrupt, until it's completely over. And then since you get the same spreadsheet, etc., that's going out, you can make comments then. It's not respectful, and this has been done with people visiting at different times, and I think we're all adults, and that should be stopped. It's not right, and at times as a group, that continually talk in a very loud manner at the back. If they want to go out for a break and speak, fine. But when people take the time to come here, we shouldn't interrupt them. And it's nothing new. Thank you. Oh, and underneath, can I continue the next one, the discussion about fire hazards?
Would you like me to, let me go on to that one?
Yes, please.
Does anyone have any discussion on this topic?
Okay.
Oh, no.
The next one, discussion by council vote other action on dangers of spontaneous combustion in North Smithfield. Mrs. O'Hara.
I'm really very concerned about spontaneous combustion. A lot of people think if you have a big pile of mulch and it's wet, you don't have to worry. You have wood chips, it's wet, you don't have to worry. Well, we went through something a couple weeks ago, and if fire's gonna go anywhere, it goes up. And where it used to be swamps, houses have kind of filled in and back, and they have fire pits, etc. Takes one spark. And for years, everybody threw their leaves down there. The swamp was at the bottom, and now it's backyards, and there's pools back there. And I think, I was told that if you have a 12-foot high wood chips and it's been there for a long time, it's not a danger. Absolutely, it's a danger. I got material from DEM, science books I had when I taught, and I would love to see something going out to people. They buy a lot of mulch. They may have a lot of land, they let it sit. We have rain, everything's fine. Everything is not fine. And it spreads very quickly. So I don't know if what we can do about it, or signs when people maybe buy mulch, etc. But and other people are kind of who've grandfathered into certain areas are at times storing, I'd say over these lights easily, and they stand there for a long time, wet or not wet. With wind, etc., a whole neighborhood could be lost. So I don't know, bringing this before to people, and they seem to feel that you don't have to worry about it. Well, according to the state, you have to worry about it. So I'm going to hopefully not bug our great fire department, and I don't know if anything can be sent out or given out, maybe even at the polls in the fall, to people. Having lived through fires in my youth, I take it very seriously. And if you know anybody that's storing mulch or storing, they want to do this around the whole perimeter of the 3 acres or whatever, no matter how wet that mulch is, it can go up when the heat comes in. And I'm seeing it more and more at different places. So I don't know if something can go out in taxes, or 1 sheet or 2 when they're going out, or that may be done automatically. But better safe than sorry.
Claire, you're not wrong. We have, I have a compost pile at the house where I put all my grass and leaves and everything. If you reach into the middle of that compost pile, it's actually very hot. It's not just, oh, it's a little warm. It's hot. The whole decomposing creates a lot of energy, and it gets very warm, and it can catch on fire. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is it. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. O'Hara, did this material, where did it come from?
DEM,
Get a
I
copy,
believe.
we'll put it in the weekly newsletter,
Okay.
right?
Are we all set? Discussion by council vote other action on creating a new floating position in finance and tax department. Mr. Sainaj?
This is the position I had discussed with the budget committee and to the council a while back and during the budget adoption. I'd be happy to answer any questions or concerns with what you guys have in front of you. As I had stated a few times, I would be a very broad position, mainly a lot of bookkeeping, a lot of small tasks. Would be part-time, so there would be no benefits. It would allow Jerry Ann to focus more on reconciliation, so our books are always up to date. It would allow me to operate, to focus on the daily operations, as well as other initiatives that I want to accomplish, like an auditing manual, you know, other big projects that I've put on the back burner for now. But this is just so the council can look at it. Any questions, concerns, any edits, revisions we can make, so that it can go, we can proceed further for its next step.
When the finance director's done, I have a question.
That's it.
Are you done? Oh, I didn't want to cut you off.
No, I appreciate it.
Did we fund this position?
So I'm trying to take the first step, such as the HR position, by getting it into the ordinance, and then hopefully funding it at some point in the future.
So you said this is a part-time position?
Part-time, yeah.
This seems like
full-time.
Pretty extensive for part-time.
It does look like a lot because I've been very specific on all the small little things. These are all little things that take up not a lot of time, but they're meticulous. And it would be as needed. It wouldn't be, they wouldn't be functional of all of these duties at all times. It would be as needed. And I've talked to some other people like Dr. Early. She said that she knows other people that would be interested in a position like this. You know, maybe a father or mother who is work from home or doesn't have a job and they want to do this because they've done bookkeeping in the past, something like that. So there is some type of interest from other people I've talked to. So, and it's sorry to interrupt, it's a competitive rate based on a job like this.
So with the benefits payroll position, we had conversations before. So the person that would be filling that new position, as we talked, would probably have a lot more time on their hands than.
Yeah, I'm hoping, but I'm not. That's not a definite yet, but that would be the hope, but I'm not sure of it.
Right, because I'm hoping we're going to hire someone that is very familiar with ADP and knows how to use the spreadsheet upload, and it's a lot less manual.
Right. Yeah, a lot of efficiencies can be built.
Week,
right.
You know?
Yeah. Well, the idea behind this, sorry to interrupt again, is to have this as a fallback, just in case. Just to have this in case that position ends up getting other duties that I need them to do, or whatever the case may be. And this would be appointed, so it wouldn't need to be always in. That's the idea, is that it would be appointed so that it can, as needed, if the demand is there. It wouldn't be in the contract as it's there for, you know, we know that the union doesn't like to let positions go. So, sorry to interrupt.
So me personally, I mean, this is just such a broad amount of things for one person to do, especially on a part-time basis. And by hiring a new benefits payroll coordinator who may potentially have more time on their hands, and plus an HR person that would have time on their hands, I personally would think that we should hold off on this until we get those positions filled and see what the office looks like at that point in time. Yeah. Because to train somebody to do all these different tasks, and then have them on a part-time basis, I don't know how they would ever succeed in this position.
A lot of these are, like I said, these are a lot of easier tasks and duties. They could be taught within, I want to say, half of these could be taught within a month. And a lot of these are one time per quarter or one time per year that, you know, they prepare certain type of reports and they compile them and they build it, and that's it. But we could revisit this after the person who has accepted the position starts, after a few months, see how the demand is, and then revisit this if we need. That person is contingent to start on the 29th. So my hope is that there's a lot of workload that person, there's gonna be a big learning curve, obviously, in terms of, you know, the municipality and how we work and how our benefits work. But we have discussed the fact that that position would need to know some type of bookkeeping, but that position's never done these in the past, from what I've understood, from my predecessor and Jerry Ann. So these are tasks that fall upon accounts payable, my position, and the assistant finance director, that could be handed off if there's demand. If I needed to do, like for water, if I needed to do another project for them like I did for sewer, in terms of doing some type of projection for what their rate might be for a capital project, I can focus on that and then have this be pushed off to this person. But I agree, we can revisit it later, once the new person starts and is up and running, see how the demand is.
So the new person, does that person have all the necessary requirements that we were looking for to, you know, to begin immediately? Do they have municipal experience, or?
Not she doesn't have specifically municipal experience, but she's worked in smaller office type, and she's also worked in big ones. She's done processing for payroll from A to Z. She's done benefits. She's given the fact that she's worked in smaller spaces, she's done some type of HR as well. She's done onboarding, offboarding. She's pretty well versed in a lot of the things that job does.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, we went out for 2 rounds of interviews, and we had probably 25 applicants, and it's really hard to find a person specifically for that position, because it's payroll, it's benefits, it's also, hey, well, we also need some bookkeeping and accounting experience, that'd be nice. So it's kind of hard to find all 3 of those with breadth and depth for the town of North Smithfield, because we're so small, but yet you need to know a lot at the same time. So, yeah, I think the only thing that she probably doesn't have, you know, a lot of ground on is accounting experience, but that we're hoping that we can teach her. And she's very, she has a lot of initiative. She wants to hit the ground running.
You got to stop talking about a position that's not on this agenda. Are we talking about this position, or are we talking about the HR position?
No, I think this position, but I think you're asking about the overlap.
But he's,
We're talking
but
about
yeah.
Is there overlap, David?
It's relevant.
Right.
It's relevant.
Yeah.
But anyways, so moving back to this, the hope is that some things could be put back onto that position, but I'm not sure.
Well, I think I would make the suggestion that we wait until that person's up and running, and then see what the position can handle, and then come back to us at some point if there's a deficit. I think that's the best way to do it. You know?
And I still have to have, I mean, given the fact that this would be a appointed position, I still have to have the union take a look at this position. There's other procedures. I just wanted the council's opinion.
Yeah, I don't know that I would go ahead and do all that yet. I mean, we don't have it funded.
Yeah, it's not funded.
Right, so I think we, you know, that's another issue, right, so.
Yeah, but, you know,
Well, I would just want to remind the council, though, that, go back not even that long ago, when people were on Tony saying he wasn't getting this done, he wasn't getting that done, and one of the comments that was made was, you need the extra help, let us know, we'll get you the extra help. Well, he needs the extra help, and here it is.
This is my, at that time I had said, I'm surprised you remember that. At that time I said, no, I needed help 9 months ago. But I had a plan. This is my plan. But we've already adopted the budget. That bus has come and gone. I'm just trying to see if I can get it into the ordinance. But again, I will reassess this once the benefits and payroll coordinator is up and running.
That's a good idea.
She's good to go.
Yeah, I agree with holding off.
Okay. Next item is open forum, agenda items only pursuant to 42-46-6. D, maximum 3 minutes per person. Anyone like to speak in this open forum? One more time, anyone like to speak? Third time? Okay. Executive session, closed session, discussion by council vote or other action pursuant to Rhode Island General Law 42-46-5A2. Sessions pertaining to collective bargaining or litigation, or work sessions pertaining to collective bargaining or litigation, or potential litigation. One, potential litigation.
I'll make a motion, we go into executive session.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara.
Yes.
Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes. And then make a motion before we do go into executive session that we do not invite the administrator for this one.
Okay.
That's a
You need a
motion. Is there a
motion?
second?
Second.
What? That we
Oh,
do
you-
not?
Right.
I don't know what the topic is. I don't know why we're not.
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Sorry, can you just repeat that? Because Mr. Byron was talking when you made the motion.
I made a motion to not invite the administrator for this executive session.
Do we need a motion for that?
I asked the solicitor earlier.
Apologize. And we have a second?
Roll call, please.
Oh, discussion?
Well, we really can't discuss what it's about, so.
Well, in general terms, I'd like to know why we can't have the administrator.
I mean, we're still on. Right.
And I can change our mind.
So, all set?
Yep.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Biragad.
No.
Ms. Hamilton.
Yes.
Mrs. O'Hara. Mr. Ogier.
Yes.
Ms. Alves.
Yes.